Good evening, everyone. In a channel first. Well, we're doing a review, but it's not a film review. It's not a TV show review. It's a concert review. We were very, very lucky yesterday to experience Back to the Beginning, which was Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne's final ever show. I always usually have an asterisk against that, thinking, oh, well, they might do another one. I'm almost certain.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be capable.
Yeah. This was at Villa Park yesterday, so 5th of July 2025, and we were one of the lucky few to experience it. So we weren't actually going to do a review on this. I think you maybe had the idea for one, but it was actually Carl in the comments who said, guys, are you going to be talking about this? And I thought, yeah, I guess we can.
Talk about.
There is, yeah. No, we've been talking about it.
I thought about it briefly when we came back, but I was there like, I don't think my body can take just even sitting there. I just hurt.
It was an exceptionally long day. We set out. Was it about 20:07?
Yep.
About 20:07. We did a lot of walking before we even got to the arena.
I got into my bed at 2 a.m.
Yeah. It was an exceptionally tiring, long day, but one that I'm sure both of us will never forget, and I'm sure many others, who watch this on pay-per-view or wherever. I'm sure if you're a fan of this, you've already seen all of the videos now, or most of them, working your way through them. It was an incredible experience, and I'm still reeling from it, and I'm still thinking that I will probably never go to a gig concert of that caliber, of that magnitude ever again in my lifetime. It really did feel like the heavy metal equivalent, I've mentioned this before, of Live Aid, from the 80s, and this was almost our Live Aid in a way. Yeah. I would attribute it to that in many ways.
It essentially was. It was like, because the thing is, even if another band decided to do one like this, let's just say Metallica in, I'd say minimum 10 years, it wouldn't be any sooner than 10 years, but let's say they decided we're going to do one show, one whatever, and invite a load of people there. The amount of people that go would be very, very different, because there are a lot of people there that won't be around in 10 years. There are a lot of people there that won't be able to perform in 10 years. Mm-hmm. So it would just never be able to happen again, even if someone tried.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've got Carl in the comments, says, evening guys, how you doing, man? Have you watched it? Did you get the pay-per-view? Have you watched some stuff on YouTube? Let us know. We're going to be going through the entire running order, but before we do that, we're going to be talking about sort of our concert going experience, what it was like for us on the day. The actual experience was very, very different for myself and for you. You being in the standing crowd like an absolute trooper all day.
Painful.
And me meant to be in like VIP comfy seating. Let me tell you, it was not comfy seating at all. We're going to get into that. We're going to be talking about the entire program of performers. We're going to be talking about our highlights, our favorite ones of the day, ones that really stood out to us. And there's going to be a couple of dishonourable mentions in there as well, because there's a few. So we'll mention them too. We've got Everything in Middle Earth. How you doing, man? He says, hey guys, hope you're well. Seen a lot of the clips. Looked like a great event. How many turned up?
I think about 40. Yeah, 42. 42 people.
Let me check the capacity. Villa Park.
Well, Villa Park capacity, I think, is like 40,000 seats. But
42,000, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many stand in there. To be fair, I actually got that right when I said 42. I didn't mean 1,000, but that was weird. But I don't know how many stand in there were, though. So we're doing more than that, but I don't know. Yeah.
And this thing's made a lot of money. All of the proceeds are going to charity. Apparently, I don't know if that's true. I hope it's true, but they raised £140 million for charity, which was distributed to various different charities. I think there was one that was cure Parkinson's disease. I think there's a couple of children's hospitals it's all gone to as well. So great causes there. And yeah, this is just taken the world by storm. They mentioned how many people were tuning in. Apparently, the broadcast peaked at 5.8 million concurrent streams all in one go. I mean, this thing's been massive, hasn't it? So, yeah, let's start talking about this thing. Carl said he had the pay-per-view. Amazing day. Glad you enjoyed it, man. And Everything Middle Earth said, did Guns N' Roses play?
Kinda.
Yeah, sort of.
They were there.
We wish they weren't, but they were there. Okay, so before we jump into the actual performers and the program and everything, Dale, I'm going to start with you. Your what was going through your head in the morning? How hyped were you? And talk about you getting into the actual concert.
I was very, very hyped. I was like, this is going to be great. This is going to be amazing. But the thing is, when I got the ticket and I got a standing ticket and I was like, cool, brilliant. I'm going to stand. It's going to be great. That was just all that was going through my head. And then about a month later or whatever, it started to dawn on me of, it's going to be a long day though, isn't it? And then we got, I think at one point it was, the doors open at 10. And so it was meant to be even longer. But then it changed back to 11 or whatever. I think it was 12, then 10, then 11 or something. But then as it got closer, I was like, it's going to be a long day. So I was there in the morning, like I'm hyped. But I thought, I'm going to be stood up a long time. I put sunscreen on my arms because I thought, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I had a sleeveless t-shirt on. So I was like, but you don't know, like the sun's going to blare in. So I put sunscreen on. Didn't think that being a cut-off t-shirt, like it was cut here as well. So I had like my shoulders showing. I had a bit of my back showing. Didn't think to put sunscreen there. That's where I can really feel it now because the sun did shine in. And when I was stood there in the crowd, I could feel it. I was like, I can feel this burning into me. I'm going to get a sunburn. And there was a guy next to me as well, said the same. He was like, yeah, my neck is going to be burnt tomorrow. And lo and behold, here is very painful. Here is painful. I can feel it all around here, all around my neck. So I got sunburnt. So that was fun. But I was really hyped going. We left about 7:20, something like that. And then yeah, we got there. I think we left the car about 8, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
I think with the whole just trying to find a spot, everything. I think we left about 8. We found a really good spot because it was literally cut through the grass. It was a 5-minute walk, not even that. We found a perfect spot, and then there were all these people going, I paid 40 quid for parking. I'm like, parked over there behind a tree. It was great.
It was so difficult to find parking though, wasn't it?
Every single road. Yeah, and we just found
permits.
this little road that was like, when I say little road, it wasn't like this little back alley road, but it was like in front of a school, and there was loads of permit, a line you can't park, but there was just this space. There was a couple of cars on it, and then there was like space for like 2 more cars. And I thought, don't need a permit there. Parked there, had a look around just in case, but it was like the perfect spot, and it was like a 5-minute walk. It was brilliant. But yeah, we left about then. We walked. You got a t-shirt, which I'm kind of regretting not getting one. I didn't for like, it was 45 quid for a t-shirt, and I am not. I mean, years ago I would have been like, years and years ago, I went to gigs, I'd always get t-shirts. Now I'm not as materialistic in the sense of I don't really take any photos at gigs, like if any. Like I go to so many gigs now, I don't even take a single photo. I'm just here in the moment. I just don't do any of that stuff anymore. Same with t-shirts. I think, you know what, I don't. You know what I mean. But I'm kind of regretting it, the kind of one that it was, and it would have been the same one you got. But and also because I was like, I don't want to carry it, but I could have ran to my car. But I'm not going to think about that because it's just. I think it was a silly decision. But anyway. But yeah, we were standing there. It was about 8. We got merch. Then we went to like Ozzy's house. We went to get a bit of food. We came back. Then I was waiting in line for another hour and a half, I think, trying to get in. And then we got in. Then I was waiting where I was in the crowd, like right by. So the barrier between like the golden circle and the stand-in, like the normal stand-in, I was like right on that. So I was in a really good spot. I was stood there all day. So bands came on, cool, we were doing our thing. It was about 3:30 at the very latest. It was like 3:30. I was like, my body's in a lot of pain at the moment. Like this was from 8 in the morning when we were standing. So that was like 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. That was like 7.5 hours. That I was like, this is hurting. And I think I saw it briefly on my phone. It said about 3:30. I thought, I'm just going to ignore that. I feel like it's later, and my brain was like, we're not even like that many hours into bands. Like I've got basically 7 hours left of standing here. And then I looked at my phone again and I was like, okay, it's 3:30. I can do this. I was like, I'm not leaving this spot. And as the hours drew on, I thought, there's no way I'm leaving this spot. And then I thought, do you know what? It might be a case of, I do, then I push into the crowd somewhere. But I was like, I have to be, because the thing is, I wanted to go for a lot of reasons. But when the fact that we saw Sammy Hagar was there, that changed that really want to go into, I ain't missing this. I've just got to go. And yeah, I was stood there and I thought, there's no way on hell, like I am leaving until Like, I've seen Sammy Hagar from this spot. He was the one I took photos of. I was like, right, this is it. He was finished. I didn't want to leave. The thing is as well, because between bands there was like such short amount of time, you don't really want to leave any time, because you left, didn't you, to go get like some food, and you were in line for like ages. The thing is, you don't want to, because you end up missing little bits, because there was loads of little things that would happen, like Youngblood coming on wasn't part of any little bit. It just sort of kept, happen. So if you had left, you would have missed it. So you didn't want to go. So I thought, all right, when's the best time? And I left, I think Tool came on, 6:30, 6 o'clock, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to the first half of one song. I'd seen Tool years ago at Download. Not the biggest Tool fan anyway. And I thought, okay, if I don't, my legs are like jelly, because I was on there was like a little ramp behind the barrier. And so obviously it's a little bit unstable, but every time I moved, it was very easy for me to like almost fall. That I thought, now my legs are just turning to jelly. If I don't sit down for 5 minutes, I'm just going to fall. And it's not a good idea. So I thought, right, I'm going to go. And for 10 minutes, I went outside, I sat down, I stretched my legs out, I basically laid down on the floor. And then after 10 minutes, I thought, right, okay, I still hear them playing. I got to go back whilst they're playing so that I'm there between the intermissions, because I don't want to miss anything. And then it was that last bit of the day I struggled, because it was when Slayer came on. I think I watched the first song, I dipped out, and I thought, right, I'll just go for 5 minutes this time. Came back about 30 seconds, 20 seconds for Rain in Blood, saw them play that and Angel of Death. I was like, right, I'm happy. I'm not the hugest Slayer fan, but I really wanted to see them play that. Thought, dip out for one song, came back, cool. And then, it was just a struggle, the end. And by the end of it, I've been stood up for however many hours, and everything from my lower back down was just the most painful it's ever been. And my shoulders hadn't started to really burn at that point. And there was a mosh pit to Pantera, which I was slightly like, I can jump in this. I mean, I'm not like, I've never been huge into moshing, but when I was younger, I did like a little bit. But I was like, you know what? I feel like moving around would get me, because if I did move around and do that to bands, it actually helped my body. But I was like, I don't, because then I'll leave here. And I was like, I just kind of, it was a long day.
It was a very long day. So let's backtrack a little bit. So, yeah, one thing that we discussed that we really wanted to do to sort of bring the whole thing full circle, especially as the nature of the concert is back to the beginning, we wanted to go to Ozzy's childhood home first, or his old house, I should say, because I'd never been there. You'd been there a few years ago, I think, and it's down this complete odd mark street, a very, very unassuming house outside. And we were expecting like droves of people outside the house. And there really wasn't. There was a steady stream of people, like one or two people coming in, round in the corner. They clearly had the same idea as well. The one thing that we didn't do that I'm hoping they keep it round in Birmingham for a while is we never got to go to the Black Sabbath bridge. Yeah, and that mural, that sort of graffiti artwork that they've done, which is an incredible mural of Black Sabbath. So I hope they keep that round for a while, which I think they probably will.
The bridge, I think they will. Well, I think they'll both be around for a while. But the bridge I saw years ago when I lived in Birmingham, I'd been around to it. And that's a really, really nice like bench and stuff. I think they'll be around for a while.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and head there one weekend. I think maybe like the next few weeks, just to tie it all up essentially. But it was still a great start to the day. I, like an idiot, had forgot my earplugs. So we went on an epic quest to go and find a Savers, and we walked all the way from Aston to Perry Bar, which is no short distance. I think we were walking for seemed like maybe half hour, something like that. It was a good way. So we were walked out before we'd even got to the gig. I should also stress that we didn't have much sleep the night before, clearly because we decided to watch one of the longest films known to man, which is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. We watched that, and that finished at like, what, 1:30? Were we all done and in bed?
It was something like that, and I think we didn't actually go to like literally go to sleep at like till like 2.
Yeah, so we had like maybe 5 hours, if that.
I didn't. It took me another. Yeah. I think I fell asleep probably like just after 2. Woke up at like 4. Then didn't sleep. So I think I had like 2 hours.
We were playing tunes in the car. We were getting in the gig mindset before we got there. As I say, we went to his old home, which was great. And then I have a feeling that you're getting into the Villa Park was a lot smoother than mine. I will say, like, the workers, it was like the blind leading the blind. No one knew where you had to queue, where you had to be. So you had the general standing ticket, and I had unbeknownst to me until maybe a couple of days before the gig, I found out that I'd actually bought a VIP ticket. I was just, when tickets were on sale, I was just like frantically clicking, and it took me to check out, and I just paid for it, didn't consider anything else, and that was that. And then a couple of days before, it says, right, you're going to get complimentary exclusive merch. It mentioned getting 2 complimentary drinks, which I never got. I don't know where you got them. That was never mentioned. They said that you get VIP access to like the VIP lounge. I don't know where this lounge was. I don't know where. I never went there. So, and then they said that you also get very comfy cushioned seats with a great view of the stage. Now, the view of the stage was pretty good, all things considered. I was sort of parallel or in line with the Golden Circle crowd off to the side in the Douglas Ellis stand. But those seats were not comfy. Really, really not comfy. So I was moved outside. There was so many people around, like you're trying to navigate. They said, right, VIP's over there by the gate. So you go over there, and then you're queuing for about half hour. Then someone says, oh, no, you're not meant to be here. You're meant to be here. And they moved me around to must have been 4 different stations. I eventually got my exclusive merch, though. I haven't gone through all of this, and I don't want to turn this into like a massive unboxing. But yeah, so we showed our tickets, and we got this bag. It's not just the bag, the stuff in the bag.
Just the bag is a tote bag for you.
So there's a poster. Let's see what else is in here. There's a bottle opener, I think. As I say, we'd already bought I'd already bought a t-shirt. There's a lanyard. There's a commemorative ticket. Oh, this made me laugh. It said that you'll get a premium like ticket, like a physical ticket. You know, something that used to be common practice at gigs. Can we start getting gigs, like gig tickets again, please, rather than just having digital ones? This is the gig ticket. I was really let down by this. It's this like piece of shit, cheap, oversized jigsaw puzzle cardboard ticket.
It is a jigsaw.
It's not. Yeah. This doesn't lift off, by the way. This isn't like a separate thing. This is just printed on it, and then the back it's just blank. This is the souvenir ticket, apparently.
Yeah,
not a fan of that. And then we got a vinyl, which is Ozzy Osbourne. There we go, Patient number 9, which I think is. Oh yeah, I bent the shit out of that. Oh well. That's what you get for when they give you fucking merch before a 10-hour gig.
It should have been like a limited edition Blizzard of Oz or something.
Oh yeah, I have creased the hell out of that vinyl. Oh, never mind. It's fine. So yeah, I got given that. So I had my man bag, and I was into the stadium. I think you probably got in maybe like an hour to 40 minutes before I did. Did you?
I'm trying to wonder how long it was that I was waiting around before Sid came on doing his DJ shit. I feel like it was half an hour, so I don't think you well, I mean, you got in before he came on, did you?
Yes, yeah. No one was. I think it was about 12:20. I actually got into the venue, and then the whole thing kicked off at about 1.
A lot later. Yeah, I think I was in. I would say 11:30 actually. Actually, I was in there a while. I was talking to a load of people, so I think it did feel a bit quicker when I was in there. But yeah, I think I got in about 12:30. No, well, we were supposed to get in at 11, so I don't know. But yeah, it's sometime. By that point, I'd lost all track of timing.
My biggest negative of the day, if I just get this out now, was just really the food and the toilet situation at Villa Park. It was awful. Like there just wasn't enough toilets there. There wasn't enough food there to accommodate all the people. I think they were really out of their depth, the workers there, when we got there. So queuing for the toilet, you would be queuing for about 45 minutes to an hour to use the toilet. The toilets were awful. If anyone's seen the movie Trainspotting and you know what the toilet looks like in that movie, all of the toilets looked like that. It was grim. It was nasty. It was not a fun time. And food. There was 2 food places from what I saw in the main venue. There was one that was fried chicken and chips, 3 sort of small pieces of fried chicken with a handful of chips, 15 quid. So I got some of them as soon as I got there because I was hungry. It was lunchtime. I needed something. I needed some energy. But you're there all day. So when it rolled around to like 5 p.m., I'm hungry again. I'm thirsty. There's no water stations. Again, queuing is an absolute nightmare.
Well, that's the thing. We essentially did have unlimited water because the people that passed them out where I was, they just had a load of them. So just always, can I have some water? Yeah, cool. Can I have some water? I didn't drink anything until I think Metallica, because I went, I'm not leaving to piss. I'm not doing that. So I didn't drink anything until like ages later. But yeah, there was a supply. But it was great because I had a load before I came in, and then I had a big long piss. It was great.
And where I was sitting, it was, in a football game where all the players come out of those tunnels onto the pitch. So I was sort of sat right next to one of those, and I was right in the center of the row of chairs. Now, the chairs are right up against your knees. There is no leg room. The chair in front of you is digging into your knees. And if you wanted to get out, you had to be that guy where you said, sorry, I need to get out. And everyone has to stand up and, you have to like do the knee shimmy to the side to let you through, that whole thing. So it was really awkward to get through. And you didn't want to keep doing it. You didn't want to keep taking the piss because you were disrupting everyone else. So really, when you were in your seat, you were in your seat. It was a very, very claustrophobic experience. Later on, when I wanted food, I found that there was this like sausage roll, steak bake place. I queued up for half hour. I've missed like some key moments of the concert, so hopefully you can fill me in when we get into talking about it more. I queued for over half hour for food, got to the front, and he said, oh, we've ran out of food. I was like, you couldn't have put a sign up, you couldn't have shouted down the line, down the queue to people, there's no
They ran
food.
out of food completely.
Yes. So I returned back to my chair, still hungry, still tired, still thirsty. A couple of hours went by after that. I tried again because I saw some people coming out with fresh sausage rolls and steak bakes. I thought, right, now's my chance. Queued up for another half hour for the same outcome. We've got no food left. And I just exasperated. I just went, this is the second fucking time this has happened. Like, what are we fucking doing? So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go without drink. I'm going to go without food. And we're going to go for it. And I think probably by the time Metallica came on, because I was lagging a little bit, probably like Guns N' Roses Metallica, I'd found my second wind and I was a bit more with it then. I think it was the excitement for like Ozzy and Black Sabbath to come at the very end. So that was probably my negative of the day, was just how the whole crowd situation was handled in terms of the toilet and the food situation. But let's talk about the actual gig now then. So we're going to go through this in order. I'm just going to bring up a couple of comments before we jump into it. Everything in Middle Earth says, I heard Axl Rose sounded like the pedo from Family Guy.
A good comparison.
Yeah, I've heard Herbert from Family Guy. I've heard Mickey Mouse tends to be thrown around quite a bit. All of them are true. King Seaworld Man says, I got really bad sunburn too. There you go.
It was
Stay safe.
It's painful. I did put sunscreen on my arms though. Then that's why I'm like more annoyed. I'm like, I put sunscreen on. I planned for this, just not fully.
And Justin Jones says, live streamed it and had it cranked up. Neighbors complaining, blah, blah, blah. Was such a great day. Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm glad that they actually did release a pay-per-view that everyone else managed to see it in some capacity and have a great time. Because it's a wonderful, it's rock and roll history, isn't it? Very much is. Right, let's talk about the performances and the running order. Now, a running order was actually leaked. I found out it was the guy from Disturbed. What's his name? The one who got booed.
Damian Wayne?
David Draymond. That's it. He was the one that leaked the show's running order. Now, the actual order of the people was correct, but the timings were a little bit off, I think.
I think the timings were just a bit off because it's a gig, isn't it? It's like they'll say 10:30 and then it'll be,
The revolving stage was a great idea, though. Apparently, they did that at Live Aid, and it just, it cut the setup time down. So the pacing of the day as well, before we jump into it, I'll say was great because each performance, some were playing for 15 minutes, some were 20. I think the highest was probably like half hour, maybe. So because you were having like small little set lists, it really helped like the pacing and the I forgot the word I'm looking for of the day.
Momentum.
Thank you. I think I was trying to think of that word the other day and I forgot it. Momentum. I'm getting old. We're all getting old.
Yeah, it was quite. It was good. I mean, the only between Ozzy and Sabbath was long though for some reason. That was a lot longer. I don't know if that was because I was feeling tired by that point. I was like, come on, but I was literally like, I feel like this is longer than usual.
Yeah. Right then, let's jump into it. So bear with me here. First up on the bill was Mastodon. They played 3 songs. Black Tongue, Blood and Thunder, and What must have been a contractually obligated Black Sabbath or Ozzy cover. You did actually mention this to me before. I don't know where you found out this information, that every single group was going to do a cover of an Ozzy Osbourne song or Black Sabbath song. And we were like, on the one hand, it means you get more Ozzy Sabbath content throughout the day. You get more songs of theirs sprinkled throughout the day. But also, you kind of just want these bands to play their own songs a little bit, right? They haven't got that long. They've got a handful of songs. And
it's like Metallica. It's like, but we like you. We wanted to hear your stuff. You've got a huge repertoire. I mean, it was... to be fair, a lot of the bands did really good covers. A lot of them were very, very good. But I think... I mean, I didn't hate any... I was going in there thinking... Do I want everyone to play one? Because, like you say, they've got limited time. 3 songs then turns into 2 songs. You know, it did cut it down. But I didn't mind it in the end. They all did really good ones. I just wonder whether it should have been left to, let's say, I don't know, the supergroups. Like they do overall, each supergroup does 2 Sabbath songs or 2 Ozzy songs. So there's 4 extra. But that's it, everyone. I don't know. I mean, I liked it because, as I say, it did turn out well. The biggest disappointment... Well, there was 2 big disappointments in it. One, Guns N' Roses doing 4, where I thought, okay, hang on. You do realise you've got loads of your own songs, which that was the point where, like I say, I get why they did it. But things like that were just a bit like... But the fact that we were like, oh, here's Guns N' Roses. I know we've both seen them before, and I know it's obviously a Sabbath show. And I suppose to get why they do it, but when you do 6 songs, but 4 of them are Sabbath, it's like, okay, 1, fair enough, but you're here, and I would like to just kind of see you do your stuff. Yeah, that was a little bit overkill. And the other one was Pantera doing Electric Funeral, exactly like Rival Sons did Electric Funeral, and then Pantera did Planet Caravan and Electric Funeral, and I was like, I feel like we've heard this, and I was in my head being like, no, definitely Rival Sons played this. And then I was second guessing myself going, but they wouldn't do it again. It's not like every band is like, oh, well, they've done the same one. They've done the same one. It's like, this is the only one. Maybe I'm wrong. But I said it to someone. They were like, no, yeah, Rival Sons did it. I was like, well, why and it really pissed me off. Not to mention I wasn't as impressed with them, but we'll get onto that in a bit. But
let's not jump too far ahead. We'll start stay on track with them.
The Sabbath songs were like, I didn't mind it overall. I just think like 1 per band, whereas some did sneak in 2, and I was a bit like...
Yeah, Mastodon, I'd never really heard any of their stuff before, I must admit. You're probably going to get used to me saying that. I'm very much like, people know this, like 80s glam and stuff like that, but 80s heavy rock and metal. So a lot of these sort of, I say newer bands, I actually don't know how long Mastodon's been going for. They've probably been going for a considerable while.
Well,
or the 2000s.
Like Gandalf, so.
Like they were fine. It was a lot of that, like, that kind of stuff, which, you know, it's fine. It's not really my kind of music, but I think it was a good act to open, I think, and to get the crowd going. It was, yeah.
I really liked Mastodon. I've never listened to them properly. I think I've listened to them a little bit less than I've listened to Anthrax, but similar sort of level. Like, I know them. I know the kind of music they do. Anthrax I've listened to 1 or 2 before. Mastodon, I think I might have listened to 1 song before, but I've never really. So them coming on, I'll be like, right, I know I'm not going to know any of these, but I really enjoyed them. I really liked that first song that they did. And it was kind of sad that, like, and then they left, and I'm like, this is going to happen all day, isn't it? I'm going to really get into it. I'm like, you stopped. And that's what happened with them. But they were really good. I did really enjoy them. And one thing I liked about them, and this goes for a few of the bands there, was I wouldn't probably pay to see them on their own. So it was nice to get to see them. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Just got a couple of comments to bring up. Carl says, I did see Black Sabbath back in 2001 at, is that meant to be Ozfest or Ooziest? at Milton Keynes with Slipknot and Tool supporting, so I'm glad I got to see them. We went to see different Black Sabbath gigs, didn't we? I went to what must have been the 13 tour, I think I went to, and you went to their final tour, right?
Yeah, it was I mean, I'll speak more about Black Sabbath later when we get to them, but that was a good show. That was a good show.
moving on to our next one then. Sorry, I'm having to click through a million things here. Rival Sons. They did 3 songs: Do Your Worst, Electric Funeral, and they did Secret. So again, one Sabbath cover there with Electric Funeral. Now, Rival Sons, I didn't know who they were. I'd never listened to any of their stuff, but I found out about Rival Sons a couple of weeks ago when I went to Villa Park again, when I went to see Guns N' Roses. They were the support act, and I was not a fan. I don't think they're awful. I don't think they're terribly shit. I think they're just sort of standard. What would you call them? Like blues, southern rock kind of vibe to them a little bit.
I don't know, because I feel like they sounded different to the first time I saw them. The first time I saw them was with Black Sabbath on their final tour, and I remember really not enjoying them. I feel like I remember them being good live. I thought, okay, they can hold a thing, but I was not keen on their stuff. Mm-hmm. This performance, similar. I thought, okay, they've held that well, and I think they did a really good cover of Electric Funeral. I thought, you know what, okay, they've delivered. But I'm just not really a fan of their kind of stuff, really. So I am kind of glad we only got 3 songs realistically out of them.
It was like, oh god, I'm back here from a few weeks ago. I've got Rival Sons, I've got Guns N' Roses later today.
I know Ozzy really loves them. I think he was talking about them after he did the final tour. Like, oh, who's that band that opened for us? They're really, really great. But yeah, it's not a big fan. But I do think their performance was good.
Yeah. Next up, we have Anthrax, one of the 4 horsemen, if you will, of thrash metal. These were the ones that I was looking forward to crossing off. And similar to you, what you mentioned there, saying that I don't know if I'd go and see a solo like Anthrax gig, but I'm glad that I've seen them as part of this where I can cross them off. I think the only one now, I think 3 of the 4 were playing here yesterday with Metallica, Slayer, and Anthrax. It's just Megadeth now is really the other one, who is playing with Disturbed later this year, and I'm still debating whether to go to that. I'm not sure. Anthrax did 2 songs, Indians and Into the Void. And of course, Into the Void is the Sabbath cover. So technically, this is how I see it. Anthrax got 1 song.
It's weird when you see the bands that do you see some they do 4, and then you see the bands that do 2, and you're like, you just know it's because you're the bands with the really long songs.
Yeah,
you're like, right, you got 15 minutes, and the bands are sat there going, all of our songs are 15 minutes. Shit, what are we gonna do?
And they did do Madhouse, which is like their main one, isn't it? Madhouse, Anthrax.
Yeah,
I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, I was as well. But I thought they put on a really good performance as well. I thought they were really good on stage as well. So they were a band which, I'm really happy that they were there.
I think that was the first one for me of the day where I was like, oh, okay, now we're kicking it into gear with this.
Yeah.
Now, I was a little bit upset with this next one because this might have been when I went to try and get food, now I think about it. So Hailstorm, I actually missed the first part of this, which I was kind of gutted. And I think I only came back during her final song. So tell me about Hailstorm, because I missed this entire set.
I saw them once. Was it last year or the year before? Or 3 years ago? At some point, I saw them. And they are very, very good live. So they are one of the ones that, they really impressed me, but the bar was already high. I knew they were good. I do like Hailstorm. Some of their stuff is hit and miss with me. I'm not the hugest Hailstorm fan, but I really love some stuff, especially that second album. So they played Love Bites, which is on the second album. I Miss the Misery. I mean, I know they didn't play that, but that's on the second album. Mrs. Hyde. I think these are all second album stuff. Absolutely love that album. Third album's really good. So I've always really liked Hailstorm. But like I say, some stuff's hit and miss in the sense of I think it's is it their latest album or is it the latest 2? But their latest album, especially, I've not really listened to it. Mm-hmm. And I think they played a song off that, which I wasn't really familiar with.
Yeah, Rain Your Blood on Me was their second song. And then Perry Mason was the cover, the Ozzy cover that she did.
Yeah, I think Rain Your Blood on Me, I think she said it was from, I mean, I didn't recognize it, but I think she said it was a new one as well. So, like I say, I'm not the hugest fan, following, but the stuff I listen to, I do really like. And like I say, I've seen them once before, a few years ago, and they really delivered. And she especially, great vocals, really, really, really powerful. Oh, so I knew they were going to be good, and they came on, and I was not disappointed. So I really liked that they were there, and I got to see them again.
Yeah, I do want to check out Hailstorm set because, yeah, I haven't really listened to all that much Hailstorm. You sort of gave me a little bit of a crash course in Hailstorm when we were walking to Perry Bar before we went to the gig, and we were walking around like listening to some music on Spotify, and I was like, right, give me some Hailstorm songs to listen to.
I wish they had played "I Miss the Misery." I wish they had done that instead of the new song, but I guess it's kind of like, oh, here's a new song, let's play a new one for you. I mean, fans might be like, oh, one off the new album, and I think that's one of the things, like the reason probably like when Guns N' Roses didn't play "Sweet Child of Mine," it's like, look, we've only got two. We could go for like the biggest, or we could just go, you know what, let's just play one that isn't. I mean, you know, Paradise City and Welcome to the Jungle, they are quite big, but you know what I mean. It's that kind of not do the, you know, a biggest one again. So, but yeah, no, I'm really glad that they were there and I got to see them again.
Yeah, I don't know where what I think about this because there's a time and a place for deep cuts, I think, and that can be cool when they do that. But for something like this, I think you just need to stay safe and keep to the crowd pleasers.
Well, you say deep cuts. The thing is, like I said, I've not listened to the newest album. It could have been quite a popular one. I don't know fully. But where I was standing, because it was like between the Golden Circle and me, it was like there was a barrier, but there was like a little VIP, like you know, very VIP, like VVIP kind of thing. It was like, so there was some proper, like, you know, you either spend a lot of money, or I think there's like a lot of people that work there and stuff. I think it was mainly people that work there, but I saw like an old couple take a photo. So maybe it was like really expensive as well. I don't know, but there was like a little section. And that's where they were stood afterwards for like an hour or 2 hours. Because there was a girl in front of me, and I thought for about 10 minutes, like just seeing behind her, I thought she kind of resembles Lizzie Hale a little bit. And I saw like her face. I was like, I swear she does. And then I saw the dude with the pink hair, and I was like, nah, that's definitely their drummer. I was like, that's definitely them. So yeah, she was stood there for a while, and yeah, she has really wrinkly elbows. I thought I'd just bring that up. Yeah,
you got very up close and personal with Lizzie Hale's elbows, apparently, which is
yeah,
that was the highlight of the day.
I think this is her, but I can't tell how old she is, if she's old or whatever. And like, yeah,
was it like an elephant's knee?
Yes, legit. It was literally like that. It was yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, it was because of her brother with the pink hair that I recognized him. And I was like, that's them. And I was like, what is this? Like a proper VIP thing? I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was like a little section.
I'm glad she came back on for the supergroup because, yeah, she did a powerhouse performance of the one that we're coming up to in just a little bit. But there's one more band before the supergroup, and that was Lamb of God. Another band that I hadn't really listened to much of. Again, this one is just sort of like that kind of thing, right? They did Lay to Rest, Redneck, and Children of the Grave. Now, that was the first moment where I was like, oh, I thought Black Sabbath would be playing that later on in their set. So a lot of these big songs, big Ozzy solo songs and Sabbath songs were getting crossed off the list. And I was trying to whittle it down, thinking, right, well, we know they're going to play stuff like Paranoid. You know he's probably going to do, well, I don't know. There's one point coming up where I thought he wouldn't even do Mr. Crowley at the end. So Children of the Grave was a big one to be crossed off, I think.
Yeah, the Lamb of God, I only know, those are the only two songs I know, but I do really like those two songs. So I was there in my head thinking, I feel like they're just going to play those two, and I'm happy with that. And they did, and I was happy with that, and that was cool. I did, yeah, I thought, all right, but he was the one, wasn't he, that jumped and fell over?
I didn't see that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like it was him. Did his jump and then landed, but fell on his back. And everyone started laughing. Like everyone around me was just like, that's funny. But then he got up as if it never happened, sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, they were cool. Children of the Grave, I kind of wish Sabbath did it. I really like that. Really like the riff in it. But to be fair, the songs we got, I think, were
Yeah, I think with some of these covers, you're so used to hearing the original version. And that the Children of the Grave is one of my favorite Sabbath songs out of that, that earlier catalog of their stuff. And there's some vocalists where, I'm not knocking the vocalist of Lamb of God at all. It's a very different style of music, and he's great in the genre that he plays in. But I don't want to hear a cover of Children of the Grave where it's like, Children of the Grave. It's like, this doesn't suit the song, in my opinion. It just, I don't know. I really didn't care for that cover, to be honest. I was a little bit upset.
Have you heard Children of Bodom's cover of Talk Dirty to Me?
No, I haven't.
The death metal Talk Dirty to Me.
Does it work?
It does, yeah, it does, you know. But the best one that they did, the one that was great, was the Britney Spears song they did in death metal.
Mm.
That was the best one. So as much as Talk Dirty to Me is kind of cool, I mean, I like Children of Bodom, so you know, but the Britney Spears one, that's the one that I was like, that I don't think that's the first Children of Bodom song I heard, but I think it was like I heard a few Children of Bodom songs. I liked them. Then I heard that they did that, and I was like, this band's cool, you know. That's cool. But yeah.
So we've moving on to the supergroup. So they did a good old few songs here, didn't they? So supergroup contained, well, they were sort of rotating around. Nuno Bettencourt, who's just absolute
was
fucking guitar god.
He was like the session guitarist for the supergroups, wasn't he? He was there a lot, which I ain't complaining. Nuno Bettencourt is fantastic. I ain't complaining at all.
You had Mike Borden, you had David Ellefson, Lizzie Hale, Jakey Lee, and Adam Wakeman. It was great to see Jakey Lee there. You could tell he was struggling. I actually, watching the videos back, some people were saying that his guitar was out of tune. There was a bit of a delay before the supergroup came on. So most of them came on and then they were delaying starting the first song. And it's like, something's gone wrong. What's going on? And Jakey Lee wasn't on the stage. I don't know if he didn't get the memo. I don't know if he slept through his alarm or something. He's like, fuck.
The thing is, he came on and they all bowed to him and everything. And I thought this will be cool to see him. But yeah, I mean, I know he's got arthritis and he's like, he didn't play Bark at the Moon from what I heard because the arthritis, like he was a bit sort of couldn't really do it. Which, you know, I get in the sense of, you know, that he's got arthritis. It's not his, you know, it's not his fault that he was, you know, but it was a kind of like, it was an average performance. But it was good to see him. He was one of the ones where it's hard to say like the performance wasn't the best I expected, but that's because it was Jakey Lee. It was like, this is great. It just like, yeah, he has arthritis, which it's not a knock on him because, you know, it's not, it can't be helped. It was really, really cool to see him. It was just sad that there was just some other guitarists that just outshined him.
Yeah. So the set list of songs here, we had Ultimate Sin, which was sang by Lizzie Hale.
Which we thought Ozzy was going to do that.
Yeah, apparently Ozzy fucking hates that song. So I'm actually not surprised that he didn't do it, but I'm glad that I just got to hear that song on the day because I love that one.
And yeah, we got to hear Jakey Lee and like, you know, so that was really cool. But I was under the impression Ozzy was going to do that in his solo stuff, but Jakey Lee was going to be playing that with him.
We thought Ozzy would pair up with his guitarist, didn't we, for those
I
songs?
was a bit saddened that we didn't get to see Jakey Lee with Ozzy. I would have liked that, but you know.
And then right after that, this was the controversial moment, Shot in the Dark, where David Draymond walked out to a booing crowd.
Do you know what though? That was a really good cover. I did like it. I was really enjoying that, and I didn't even know anything about his controversial bomb signing or anything like that. I didn't have a clue about any of that, so this was all a big surprise to me. I was like, I don't get it.
I get why people would boo him. It's a really tricky situation because I always have to try and separate the politics or whatever's going on with the artist and the actual music. And I will speak as I think he's a great singer. I used to love Disturbed. I used to listen to them all the time back in like the late 2000s or whatever. It's one of my favorite bands. Since then, I've dropped off them a little bit, but everyone in the comments is, well, they're complaining about what he did and also saying like, oh, he's a shit singer anyway. I'm like, did we hear the same song? I thought it was a decent cover.
Well, to be fair, I still listen to Gary Glitter, so you know.
You just got to try really hard to separate the artist from the art at that point.
You just go like it's fine. Not what you did is fine, but you know. I mean, I don't know anything about his bomb signing, so I can't comment on that at all. But Gary Glitter, I'm not saying what he did was fine. What I'm saying is his music was cool.
Then we had Sweet Leaf. So again, like all the supergroup doing all covers, and it's just like I get that they have to, but it's just.
Yeah, I think there should have been more variety of originals, like from their bands, even, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which we got from Steven Tyler, which was great, which we'll come on to in a bit. But I think there should have been a bit more variety on those, especially because you had a lot of people, like when we had KK Downing come out and he played Breaking the Law, like, there was a lot of times things like that could have happened. So yeah.
And then we had Believer and Changes, Youngblood.
Which was one of the standout performances, I would say. I'm not like the hugest Youngblood fan, but that was a standout performance. His vocals were amazing, were proper on point.
Yeah.
And I was really happy they played that, because that was one that I didn't think anyone would do that. Changes was not one I had in my mind that people would cover. So I was so happy that happened. And I thought, from what I remember, I feel like the supergroup sort of ended and there was like 2-3 minutes and everyone sort of gone, and then they came back and Youngblood did that. So it was kind of like a little special guest surprise thing. He wasn't the most special of guests, which we'll come on to in a bit, but it felt like a nice little like, oh, okay, because he was one of the ones that wasn't announced, which I saw a picture of him anyway. It was, I can't remember who posted it. I feel like it might have been Nuno. I don't remember. Someone did. But there was a picture and he was sat there and I was like, I feel like that looks like Youngblood. And I know him and Ozzy are friends. So I was like, I feel like he's going to be there now. And he was. But I was so happy with his performance. I thought he delivered it so well. It was a great song to cut. Like, I was just so happy. The one thing I'd say about that supergroup, which was odd, was so the dude from Disturbed and Lizzie Hale did a cover of Close My Eyes Forever. They recorded a cover of that together. So the fact that they were both there and they didn't do that was a bit weird. I thought, oh, because they're both there, that's going to happen, and it didn't. And I thought maybe they'll come back later and do it, and it just never happened. And I was a bit like, oh, that's kind of, yeah. It's a bit sad because they actually recorded a cover of it, like when Pantera did Planet Caravan. It was like they've done it, so I assumed that's what they're going to do, and they did. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing.
See, if Pantera hadn't have doubled up Electric Funeral, we would have had a gap there where we could have got that extra song in. But
yeah,
I'm seeing Lita Ford in a few weeks anyway, so I'll hear the song there.
Do you know what? She was one that I was saddened wasn't there. I don't know. I don't know the history on them. Like, I don't know if there's some weird falling out thing. I don't know what it is. But the thing is, they've never played it live together. So it would have been a whole, not just this will be cool, but this, you've never done it together. This is your last chance. Do it. And she ain't got nothing going on. It's like, it would have been the one, and she obviously wasn't, and like there's no name on it. So I thought this will be the nice surprise. Like, no one's ever heard this either. And the fact that they didn't play that as a cover, I thought it's gonna happen. I was in my head being like, it just got to come on, and it didn't. And I was like, that would have in itself been such a big highlight if she had come on with Ozzy and sang that. That would have just been amazing.
Yeah. The next one was a little bit of a surprise. Pre-recorded. He wasn't actually there, but we have Jack Black, because of course we haven't talked about actually the fact that Jason Momoa was meant to be the comper that hosting this whole thing. Dude showed up maybe like 3 or 4 times throughout the entire day.
It was random, wasn't it? It was like, he's going to show up. We'll give you something to do.
We have seen videos now where he got stuck in the mosh pit, didn't he, with Pantera? I think it was. Was it Pantera?
Do you know what?
He jumped in the crowd.
Yeah, it was, because they were his favorite band, and he jumped in the mosh pit. And the thing is, the dude's hench. Like, if I was, I know I didn't get involved in the mosh pit, but if I was in Golden Circle and I was like, Jason Momoa was in here, part of me had been like, you know what, fuck it, let's just ram into Jason Momoa. Let's go. I want to just like elbow him and just go for it. But then at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I'd just like be floored, and I'd wake up, be like, oh, I missed the rest of the game.
Moshing with Carl Drogo. It's just funny watching the video where he just gets off the stage and into the crowd. It's like, dude needs no bouncer. He is his own bouncer.
Yeah, exactly. I sent he was one that I sent a picture to my dad's wife, and was just like, this is one for you. So it was kind of interesting, but it was it was a weird sort of thing. I mean, I know he was, because he knew, because he was in what was it? It was an Ozzy video that never got released. He was in.
Oh, Little Green Men, wasn't it?
That was it, yeah. So I knew he'd like sort of known them, and I think from what he said, it was sort of, he was just like, oh, I really want to be there. So it was kind of like, oh, we'll give you something to do. It kind of felt like that, but it was, yeah.
The reason that I mentioned him alongside Jack Black was because I feel like among them, Jason Momoa, Jack Black, Zendaya are like the top 3 actors who I see in absolutely fucking everything at the moment, and they're just always there. So Jack Black showed up. And I was just like, oh God, I'm just
You know
fresh off
what
the
though?
Minecraft movie. Like, can we not?
I thing is, I like Jack Black, and I was disappointed it was only a recording, because as soon as they revealed him on the screen, I thought, oh, he's gonna come around the thing. I was like, this will be cool, and it didn't happen, and I was like, ah. And I was also like, that means Ozzy's not gonna do Mr. Crowley, but he did, and I was like, fair, okay, cool. But why did we have that little thing and not have? I don't know. It was. I didn't mind it at all, but I did think, oh, he's not going to play Mr. Crowley, and if he didn't, I would have been upset with that segment. I would have thought, you know what, we could have just not had that, had Ozzy play Mr. Crowley, because any pre-recording is like, well, you know what I mean? Imagine, like, because imagine they did the whole thing pre-recorded for some weird reason that was just what, wouldn't happen at a gig. But imagine you went there and it's just a big screenplay in it. It would be like, well, what's the point in being there, because the bands aren't there? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like Jack Black doing it. And if then Ozzy didn't do Mr. Crowley, it'd be like, well, I could just watch that on. You could have just sent me a video of that. Even if you charged me a tenner to see the video, whatever, it's like, but I didn't need to be at a gig and have Ozzy not play it for the sake of it. So I'm glad he still did it.
Yeah. It was fine. It was fun. It got a big laugh and it got a big reaction from the audience, I think. But when I heard that, I thought, oh God, so that means we're not getting Mr. Crowley later then. That's another one that's crossed off. Well, I thought at the time. So yeah, thankfully we did get it in all of its glory later on.
I don't know who the little kids were that were with him. I think is, I've never seen that video before, but the way he kind of was, that you didn't see his face. I know that would have been a skit anyway, would have been done like that, but the way people around me kind of sounded like they were kind of like, oh, so I feel like that was new, but I don't know. As they don't quote me on that, because it could have literally just been like, yeah, that's the thing we've seen before, so I could have just never seen it. So I don't know who the kids were. They could, as I say, it could have been something, I don't know. But there's a video. It was years and years ago, back when Ozzy could move, because he lifted the dude up with his guitar. So there was this little kid in Japan. It was like 7 years old, 8 years old, or whatever it was. And he was playing guitar for him during Crazy Train, and then during the solo, Ozzy lifted them on his shoulders. And when the kids came out, I mean, like I said, that was a few years ago now. So, but I don't remember how long ago it was. But I thought, oh, it's one of them, that kid. But then I googled it, and it was like a little Japanese kid, so completely different guy. But
well, one of them's Roman Morello, so I'm thinking, oh, that's a relation. And yeah, the only one that has any kind of credit is Yayoka Soma. I'm probably absolutely butchering that pronunciation. Japanese drummer. Got a lot of fame apparently at the age of 8 by doing a Led Zeppelin cover of like a drum cover. So
yeah, I don't know what happens to little Japanese guitar player, but I thought that would have been, if you're going to have little kids as well, that would have been the moment to sort of bring him. I mean, like I say, I don't know how many years ago it was now. He could be like 20. I don't actually remember how long ago it was, but that would have been a cool thing, because he was with Ozzy, but he wasn't. I just thought that might have been the way they went, but it wasn't. So I don't. Yeah.
Next up was a big one. This was one of my favorites of the day. Again, not listened to much of this band, but now I have a curiosity to do so. Allison Chains. I was very, very impressed with this set. Incredible singer. Did Man in the Box, Wood, and Fairies Wear Boots, which is probably one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs.
Same.
And I thought it was an incredible cover. It captured the vibe, and his song was so perfectly suited to that song. That kind of bluesy lilt to his voice.
Yeah.
Massively impressed by the set list. I thought it was incredible. Really great energy to it.
Yeah, I've not listened to loads of Alice in Chains. Thing is, I don't love loads and loads of that genre, that grungy sort of thing. It's not my big thing, but they are one of the bands to listen to of that genre. If I listen to that genre, it's Alice in Chains, and they're one of the ones I would pick. So when I saw that they were there, I thought, oh, that'd be quite cool. Because again, not one I'd probably pay. Like Metallica, I do like a nice little handful of their stuff, but I wouldn't pay like 200 quid to see them. So they were one like that, where I thought this will be nice to, actually be able to get to see them. And, and their cover was brilliant. It was one of the ones where I think I said it to a couple of guys in the crowd. I'm just like, you know what? Really impressed by that. That was really good.
Yeah. Carl in the comments says Alice in Chains are amazing. Listening to Jar of Flies. I'm always looking for some new music, and I think this gig that I went to yesterday has sparked my interest to listen to some of the back catalogue of lot of these bands.
their singer, he looked really cool on stage as well, like the tassel jacket and stuff,
Yeah,
and the
great
way
image
he
to him.
moved
Yeah.
on stage, like he put on a good performance, like they delivered. So yeah, really impressed with them.
Oh, he was just pure swagger. Yeah, no, really, really good stuff. Next up, the fucking French. No, Gojira. Again, a band that I hadn't listened to a whole lot of. They did quite a few songs, actually. They did Stranded, Silvera, Mea Culpa, and Under the Sun. Mea Culpa, that's the one where they had, I'd love to know the singer. They had this like operatically trained singer came out, and she was fucking phenomenal. She was amazing. But I don't know who she was.
I'd never listened to them before. Never a band that I listened to. They were probably the one band that I went, probably that's where I'm going to dip out, which didn't happen at all. Because obviously, like I mentioned before, I was like, no, I need to stay here. Like until Sammy Hagar comes on, I ain't leaving this spot. Like that was like a determination. But yeah, I didn't dip out at all. Yeah, I was impressed with them. Not probably something I'd go away and listen to. They're not like that. But I thought they did well.
Oh, I found out who she is. Marina Viotti is her name. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm guessing she was actually
her...
on the song that when they recorded it.
Could be, yeah. I mean, I haven't really got time to read all of her credentials right now, but yeah, she was fucking outstanding. Really, really good blend. And as I say, I haven't listened to much Gojira, if any at all. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you a single one of their songs before yesterday. And I was very, very impressed with what I heard. Very similar to Allison Chains, that both of those bands really stood out to me. I loved the almost symphonic metal of some aspects. I think that was the inclusion of her in there as the vocals. But yeah, I was very, very impressed. Got to give it to the French. Gojira slapped.
They were good. They were good, but like I say, they were the one that I was like saw and I've heard the name and I thought I don't feel like they're my kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Next up, well, this is where I attempted to get food. Food attempt number 1 at this point. So as soon as Gojira finished, I saw, right, the next one is the drum off. And, you know, I haven't got anything against drummers, but I thought, right, I really, really need food. And looking at the rest of the bill, this is the time to do it. So I was queuing and slowly losing my sanity, and my knees were getting crippled from standing up in queues all day. So I need you for this one, man. So the drum off apparently was Symptom of the Universe, featuring Travis Barker, Carey, is it, and Chad Smith. What was the drum off like?
I thought it was good. It was Chad Smith that I was really happy to have seen. Again, Red Hot Chili Peppers are a band I'm not the hugest fan, like a couple of their stuff, but I really like Chad Smith. I've watched a lot of his drum solos. You know, I know he was in Chicken Foot with Sammy Hagar. I was really happy to been able to get to see Chad Smith, so that was really, really cool. I thought the drum off was cool. Travis Barker, he's again a good drummer, not the biggest Blink-182 fan, probably like a couple of their stuff. You know, so he again was one that was like, this is actually really cool to see. And the other dude was from Tour, wasn't he? It was,
yes,
yeah. So again, all bands that not a big fan of, but it was really cool to see their drummers, because Travis Barker, brilliant drummer. Couldn't tell you about Tool's drummer really, from until from yesterday, because never really listened to much of their stuff. Like I say, I think I saw them briefly at Download, but Travis Barker and Chad Smith I was really interested in, and they were really good. Really enjoyed the drum off. Thought it was a nice little thing. Made me really go, where's the guitar off then? Come on, like where's like Nuno Betancourt and fucking like I was like, where's our guitar off? Come on, guys. Jakey Lee versus Nuno Betancourt. That would have been great. That would have been amazing.
Well, there's only one clear winner there, isn't there, I suppose, nowadays? So,
but still, how cool would that have been? I mean, to be fair, where guitarists go, with who's like still alive, who else could you have really got? You know, it was quite it was very. There was a lot of. I mean, imagine like Zakk Wylde versus Nuno Betancourt. Come on, like let's see.
Okay, that would have been cool. Yeah,
yeah, it would have. So yeah, I mean, it was upsetting that they didn't do a guitar off as well. But you know, it was cool seeing those drummers. That was cool.
Moving on to our next bout, we've got the Supergroup B. So I was still desperately trying to get food at this point, awaiting the crushing disappointment of hearing that they'd ran out of food. Just fucking stock up more. You know how many people are there. Oh god, I was pissed. So I missed this as well. I missed KK Downing and a bunch of other people. You got Tom Morello, you got Rudy Sarzo, Adam Jones, Billy Corgan, doing Breaking the Law. Now, I heard mixed things about this, that it wasn't the best Judas Priest cover out there. Judas Priest were meant to be there, but they had other stuff going on. I think they've got their own tour that was going on, so they couldn't make it. They did do a video message. What was this cover like? Because, I mean, I fucking love this song.
I enjoyed it. I thought Billy Corgan was an interesting choice for to go on vocals. But he wore his big long coat, and obviously he had a bald head. He looked like Rob Halford. I was like, you know what? He's got the look going on. I guess that's why they picked him. But yeah, I was really happy. That we got to hear Breaking the Law. I got to see KK Downing, because even if I'd seen Judas Priest, which I haven't, which is weird. But the fact that KK Downing is not there, Glenn Tipton is not there. But even when he is, he's not, because he's like got Parkinson's, and I don't think he knows where he is half the time. But you know, it's one of like, I'm glad I got to see KK Downing do that. Part of me, I thought, I mean, I said this to you before, didn't I? That they'll probably do Painkiller. They'll do one song, they'll do Painkiller. I mean, it might be because obviously it's quite a long song, stretched for time, but also there's a Glenn Tipton guitar solo and a KK Downing guitar solo. They probably thought it doesn't emphasize KK's song as much if we had that, and then Nuno does a big guitar solo. So, and that with the timing, like I say, I think Breaking the Law it's quite a short song, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like two and a half minutes or something like that, I think, isn't it? See, in hindsight now, knowing that I queued for a stupid amount of time and got nothing, I wish I'd have just suffered through it and just sat there and not missed any of these, because I have seen Judas Priest, and in a shocking moment when I went to see them, they brought out Glenn Tipton for a couple of songs at the very end. So I thought, going to see this, and I get to see KK Downing, I'll be like, oh, together I've had almost like the complete Judas Priest experience. And unfortunately, I missed it. So, I'm just really pissed about that. Yeah. Carl says, though, Billy Corgan singing Breaking the Law didn't work for me. That's what I've heard from most people.
I know a lot of people have said that was an interesting way to go, but I thought he delivered. I thought it was cool. You know, I thought, it was... it was cool, and it was mainly for me to get to see KK Downing do it. I mean, I've always been like that with bands. I mean, singers can be really great, but to me, for instance, I really, I'm a huge Slade fan. I've not seen Slade, but I've seen Slade as they are now. First time I saw them, it was Don Powell was there as well, so 50% of Slade. Make of that what you will, being Slade. But it's always been Dave Hill, and he is the guitarist. So as much as it's not really Slade, the fact that I get to see the guitarist is like a happy thing. So I've always been very, for guitarists. I mean, I'm a guitar player myself. So seeing KK perform that, it was just, I was really happy I got to see that.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we had Snowblind, which I don't know if that was a good cover or not. I didn't see that either. Now, this could have gone horribly, horribly wrong, because one of the main acts that we were really excited to see, you chief among them, because I mean, Van Halen's your life, was the addition of one Sammy Hagar, which would have been even better if Wolfgang Van Halen had have showed up, who was originally on the bill. Unfortunately, pressing business with Creed and supporting that band. So,
what? Did you say Sammy Hagar played Snowblind?
No, sorry. I said there was Snowblind, and now I'm introducing the next bit.
Oh, sorry. That's why I was like, hang on.
No.
Yeah, right.
And I think had Wolfgang have been there, we probably would have got maybe an additional Sammy Hagar song, and it probably would have been a Van Halen one. I don't know if that's why it was removed from the bill, because he wasn't there. But we did have a Sammy Hagar. Now, I was desperately trying to get back to my seat at this point, and I heard Flying High Again playing, which was the first Sammy Hagar song, obviously cover of Ozzy. And luckily I made it for like halfway through the song. So I did see Sammy Hagar. I just got back and I was panicking. I didn't know how many songs Sammy Hagar had done before this point. I was freaking out. I was trying to ask all the people in my row, like, how many songs have I missed? Has he just come on? And no one seemed to give me a clear-cut answer. I'm like, guys, you were here. Like, he's there. Like, how did you not know how many songs he's done? Anyway, I found out that luckily that was his first song and I didn't miss any before that point. And then he followed it up with Rock Candy. Now, you told me how old Sammy Hagar is. Dude's like 76, is he? Or 77? doesn't look a day over 50. Like
No.
this guy's insane. So am I disappointed that Sammy Hagar only had 2 songs? Yes, one of which was an Ozzy song, which was a good cover. I quite like that Ozzy song.
He did do a very good cover.
But it's just, we wanted just one Van Halen song. Just one. Just one.
Yeah. And the annoying thing is, it's not just the fact of like being a huge Van Halen fan that's like, you know what, I really wish that happened. But also, he never comes here. This is the only chance as well. And it would have been, but that to me, that was the highlight. Like I say, that turn, you know, the main reason was like, right, Ozzy, because the thing is, when we, obviously Ozzy, but like, because when we had tickets to that last tour, didn't we? And it was that last show on that last tour as well, because it was in Birmingham. And then obviously that got cancelled after delay after delay after delay. So then they did this, and I thought, right, okay, we've got to go to this. This is like, we didn't get to go to that. Really want to see his solo stuff. And then it's like Black Sabbath, and they've got Bill Ward. It's like, okay. And then all the other bands, we thought, right, this is going to be fucking great. But there's no way we're getting tickets on this. There's however many people on the planet, and we did. But Sammy Hagar turned that whole like, right, I really want to go to this to, I can't miss this. I just cannot. You know, I was so happy I got to see Sammy Hagar live. Like, he was so good live as well. He did really well. He did some weird things with his fists where he did that. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, you do you. But, you know, he was great on stage. He jumped around. You know, his intro with like just the way he spoke to the crowd, the power in his voice. He was, really, really great. Really, really happy I got to see him. And yeah, that was, for me, that was the moment I took a picture. I don't ever post it to Facebook or social media. I just don't. But that was one that I was like, taking a picture, post it to Facebook, and was just like, Sam, saw him. I was happy. As soon as he came on, I literally just yelled like, "Go, Sammy!" Like, I was. So I don't give a shit, right? I'm the only one yelling it, but I don't care. This is fucking brilliant. That was a highlight for me.
I'm really pleased you got to see him, man. Because I knowing you for so long, like, I know how much Van Halen means to you, and the fact that, as you said, like he just doesn't tour here, and yeah, to even though it was just 2 songs, just to have that moment to say you were there and you saw Sammy Hagar,
and they were 2, and that's the thing, they were 2 really good songs. Like, he performed really, really well. It was another one of those moments, like Steven Tyler, which we'll come into very, very shortly, of the whole. That was really good. Really like that performance. One of the better ones as well.
Yeah. I was going to say something. And you picked the perfect place in the standing crowd as well, because apparently you were surrounded by like 2 massive Van Halen fans at that moment too, right?
There were 2. There were 2 dudes into Van Halen who, because they were the only ones that mentioned it. Like, next to me, like, someone was like, "Oh, who's that?" And they were like, "Oh, it's the guy from Van Halen." And I was like, "Yes, someone knows." I was like, "Come on!" I was like, "There you go." I'm happy, and it was great. But it was funny because I saw like I think it was The Guardian, like a little like review on it, and it was like Sammy Hagar did. I can't remember what words they used, but basically it dipped. It wasn't as great there, and I was like, no, it was fantastic. Okay, it was like, no, that was fucking brilliant. It was amazing, and then he left, and I was like, you know what? I'm so happy I didn't buckle. It might be like my legs hurt and everything, and I feel like I'm going to collapse. I was like, well, I'm so happy I didn't buckle there. It was in the perfect position.
Next up, we have Bark at the Moon, which had Tobias Forge from Ghost. Again, a band that they're on my list to work through all of their albums. Very, very theatrical band and whatnot. And he came out decked out in like this shiny and chrome silver skull mask. I know he constantly changes his image, doesn't he, in Ghost? Good cover, decent cover of Bark at the Moon. I thought good to hear that song. Again, that was another juggernaut of an Ozzy Osbourne song that I was like, right, Ozzy's not doing that one at the end of the show. But yeah, it's just a great fucking song, and his voice was well suited to it, captured the feel of that song expertly. And Nuno just tearing that fucking solo up as well.
Imagine Ozzy trying to do that howl.
Like, yes, now. Yeah.
The thing is, he could have got the whole crowd to do it, but like, yeah, I was happy that someone covered it if he's not going to play it, because it was the song we needed.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard obviously from the beginning that Jakey Lee couldn't play that, so I thought, okay, we might not actually get to hear that song, but the fact that someone did it, I thought, okay, that's cool. And like you say, Nuno was brilliant on it. And then it came to the howl, and I was like, this is great. And it is, yeah.
Next
and we
up,
saw Reckless Love play, didn't we, as well, a few years ago?
Yes, we asked. Yeah, that's twice I've seen. Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Next up, this was hands down, obviously, other than Ozzy and Black Sabbath, was the walkaway winner for me in terms of just absolutely stealing the show. Steven Tyler. I'd love Aerosmith. I know when he was doing his final tour, I think he had to cut his final tour short because he completely just stripped his voice, completely wrecked his voice, and had to drop out of that final tour. And I thought, well, that's it then. I'll never get to see Aerosmith. I've never had the chance, so they probably have played gigs here that maybe I just haven't seen or I wasn't into gigs at the time.
They did. They've done gigs here, and whenever they've done their like tours and stuff, from what I remember, because they've been a band that I've been thinking, okay, when they tour properly, I'll go to a show, and they've done like one big show, or like a festival or something, and it's always been quite hard. They've never been like the easiest access band for a while, from what I've seen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just thought, I'm never going to get this chance. So when he was on the bill, I was like, you know what? It's not Aerosmith, but it is Steven Tyler, who is the front man of that band. So I'm just going to count it. I'm going to lump that into the same category and say that I've seen Aerosmith. He was fucking outstanding. He got a huge applause as well, probably one of the biggest of the evening, I would say.
Yeah.
Did 3 songs. He did a Train Kept a Rollin', Walk This Way, and then the Led Zeppelin cover, Whole Lot of Love. And his voice was unwavering. It was amazing. You wouldn't have known that he had vocal problems. When he was there, I thought, oh, is this going to be like an Axl Rose situation where he's going to sound really rough? You wouldn't have known. I thought, get this guy touring. He could do it again. Now, I probably don't think he could do a world tour or anything like that. I could see him maybe doing like a farewell show now. I think this has got a lot of people talking. I think this has got a lot of people's attention just seeing how great he's sounding now. And we did see, I can't remember what this was, whether it was last year or a few months ago, an image was released of Steven Tyler with Nuno, I think, wasn't it? And the two of them were hanging out and it was like they're making music together or jamming together or something. This makes a lot more sense now.
I feel like Steven Tyler did Close My Eyes Forever with Lita Ford at one point. I feel like he covered that with her. I can't remember, but he was I when Walk This Way came on, I think it got a really big cheer before it even like he broke into the song. Like hearing that guitar, everyone was like, oh, and I was there because this is one that we said we're on our way there of just that'll be he'll play Walk This Way, and then I think my next guess was if he plays more than one Aerosmith song, they'll be like Dream On possibly. But yeah, and the guitar came in and I thought, yes, we're getting Walk This Way. I'm really happy to hear it. Slightly, I'm thinking I prefer the version he did, like the proper band version.
Yeah,
me too. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Run DMC version. I know it won loads of awards of the whole like best like mashup and stuff, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. But because Sid was there doing his like DJ and stuff, I thought, I wonder if this is the route they're going to go down. Really happy they didn't because we got the version that I love, and yeah, it was. They played that. It finished. I was like, that was great. It was, that was, I think by that point, that was probably, I think that at that point got the biggest reaction. I think that was the biggest song as well by that point where everyone was like, It was like a pure party tune. It was a shot of adrenaline. I mean, everyone was obviously into it, but that song specifically, when that main riff queued up, and he was great on like the stage performance with he did his usual thing, like he has the scarf on the mic and the whole holding it to the crowd. He did all his stuff.
He's in like the silver jumpsuit as well, wasn't he? He was in.
He did the whole thing.
Oh, it's so good.
And he did. He did look quite young as well. He still looks young.
He did. Yeah, no, he was in great shape. Yeah, his voice was unwavering. Yeah, I mean, if I never get to see Aerosmith after this, I'll still be a little bit upset because I'd like to see the whole, like a full set list of their stuff. But man, if I get one proper Aerosmith song and it's Walk This Way and it's at this gig, I'll take it. I'll fucking take it. It was so good. We've got a few comments that have come through. I just want to get to these. We've had a comment that says, where was Joe Holmes, long touring guitarist and best since Rhodes? Yeah, he's done some stuff with Van Halen, David Lee Roth, I just checked. And yeah, he was from like 95 to 2001 was Ozzy's guitarist.
Who else wasn't there? There was one of Ozzy's drummers or something was a thing. There was a few which I thought, but yeah, and again, it's like with Lita Ford, a couple of things I thought, I don't know what the background is, but some that you think, why were they just not there?
Mm-hmm.
And it did seem a bit odd. So I don't know.
Got a comment from Edward who says history was made on July the 5th. Yes, it was. Do you know what? I'm actually, it's almost like the planets aligned and it was the perfect day for it because it was hot. We have got sunburn, but it wasn't like a horrible heat. It was tolerable. There was a nice breeze. Could you imagine had this been on, when I went to see Iron Maiden at Utility, it was like 29-degree heat. Yeah. I don't think the crowd certainly would have made it through that. You'd have had people passing out all over the place. Yeah. I don't think Ozzy would have got through it if it was that heat.
The thing is, it was because when I woke up that morning, because I was like, do I wear shorts? Do I wear jeans? Like, do I wear skinny jeans? I thought, I don't know because what the kind of temperature is going to be like. And I thought, I know it's going to heat up a lot because I'm surrounded by a load of bodies. So I put shorts on. But the time we left in the morning and the way it looked, I mean, I know that was morning, so I should have maybe thought, but I thought, nah, I'm going to get chilly. I got a cut-off T-shirt, I wear my skinny jeans, my legs were burning. I thought, I should have worn shorts. Like, it did, like, I felt that heat. But it was nice because then every now and then the heat disappeared. And I thought, it's quite a nice little breeze. And then every now and then someone threw, the amount of throwing cups. We said this before. Why are people buying beers and throwing them and lobbing them everywhere?
Fucking yeet them
and then every now and then I get like a spray of water and I was like, it's quite a nice feeling actually. It was quite nice. There was one time, this literally happened. It was a cup hurtling from my face and I saw it and I literally dipped out of the way because I was like, that's literally going to go slam into me.
Yeah.
So I was in like firing range at one point.
We've got a comment from JN9 who says, loving the review of an incredible show. That concert was historic and you two are blessed to have been there. Thank you for sharing your experience. You're welcome. Stay tuned. We're probably about halfway through the set. We've got some big acts to talk about.
It was one of the things, and I think I said it to loads of people in the crowd. Like we were talking, there was a couple of dudes I was talking with and we're all just like, you know what? In a lot of ways, I can't even believe I'm here. Like, I don't even believe the fact that I actually managed to snag a ticket. There was a dude that was with me that was just like, from up until 6 o'clock yesterday, didn't have a ticket. He just apparently what he said was he went on Ticketmaster. I think it was like his wife went on and just checked on Ticketmaster. Was like, there's a ticket there, right? And he was like, let's go. Like, so yeah, it was a surreal experience of because you got to think it was like what 50,000 tickets overall, something like that. Because I think with 42,000 seats or whatever, I'd say 8. I mean, my maths could be completely off, but roughly 45,000 or whatever people. And then you got to think how many people on the planet actually, were like, wish I could go. And in that respect, in a way, it was kind of like a little intimate gig. When you think about how many fans there were actually possible, if you drew them all out on a map and the big, circle of fans there are, and then the little percentage that actually went, in a way, kind of a little bit of an intimate gig, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying there. I mean, the whole ticket thing was an absolute fiasco. Like I was trying every day. The queuing system was an absolute shit show. It was down to the wire. It got to the final day and it looked like all the tickets are gone. All the seats were blinking out on the map when I was clicking them. And then I think I was sat there for about 45 minutes. I was about to close up shop thinking, right, well, that's it. And then I managed to get one and straight in the basket. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. But you did have to almost sort of like pinch yourself every now and then when you were there, like, this is really happening.
I was slightly, when I got to it and the guy was about to scan my ticket, I was there in my head being like, what if it's like fake? I know it was on the Ticketmaster app, but I was like, what if it just doesn't let me in? Like, it was that kind of, and I got in, I was like, I'm here. This is great.
This is a really good question, actually, from Carl, who says, was there any bands who you thought should have been on the bill? For me, Judas Priest, but I know that they were asked, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. I thought maybe Iron Maiden, but I thought they've got their gig going on as well, haven't they? They're touring as well at the moment.
I think AC/DC are touring, aren't they? I know they did a little video message, but I think Angus Young jumping on or something as a special guest, I think that would have been cool. Lita Ford, I don't see why that didn't happen. I don't know what beef is there. I don't know. But that's a key one that I think just should have, if anything, just should have happened. But yeah,
and we checked as well because obviously Lita Ford's got her stint of UK shows coming up towards the end of the month, and I was thinking, does she have an available window in her schedule? Could she have made it to this Aussie gig if she wanted to? And we checked, and I think the gig that she had before, I think she had one on the 2nd or the 3rd of July or something like that. So I was like, She's available.
Got a
She
window.
was available for it. So, but yeah,
Maybe she's got like a high school reunion or something. She's like, I just can't get out of it. She's got the dentist. She just can't.
I mean, there is that one elusive band that Sharon Osbourne's hinted was asked, but they wanted.
Imagine it was Lita Ford.
Yeah, they wanted money. They wanted money to show up. Now, I think it's probably an educated guess at this point. It's probably Motley Crue, we're guessing, right?
Well, it's weird that not a single member of Motley Crue has said anything. And obviously they toured with Ozzy, you know. I find it weird that they haven't mentioned it at all. That's the thing. And that's why I think maybe it was them. But yeah, I don't know. And they're not doing anything at this time from what I, can see. I know Sharon Osbourne doesn't like Nikki Sixx. I know there's a so it also wouldn't surprise me if they didn't ask to get paid. She just doesn't like him, so she asked, and something happened with their manager or something, and she's paid up. That also wouldn't surprise me. I don't know, but it's funny because there's a video because when the Osbournes did their little podcast, where they just talk about random stuff, and they mention the dirt, and I think Jack Osbourne says. Because Ozzy's the dude that plays Ozzy, like him snorting the ants is like one of the promotional photos, and Jack Osbourne was just like, yeah, but it's not about Ozzy Osbourne. And that, anyway, the point is they were talking about that, and Sharon Osbourne like ends it with the whole like Nikki Sixx is a prick, and Ozzy's like, no, he's not, and they were having a disagreement like, okay, we need to just stop this conversation. So I know she doesn't like him, so I don't know. I mean, I'm glad they weren't there. I mean, I love Motley Crue. Like I've loved all Motley Crue for a long time. Like they were one of my favorite bands for so long. But we saw them at their last tour, and that was the end of Motley Crue. The fact that they're doing what they do now without all four members, and the fact that their final tour they made a song and dance about how the bands always cheat their fans, and they did exactly that. We don't want to be not four original guys. We want to avoid this, and them have done exactly that. I could go on about that for a long time, but yeah.
One thing I don't want to go too much down a rabbit hole in this, especially when we get to Black Sabbath and Ozzy at the end. Now, I get that this was all put together by Sharon Osbourne. It's in celebration of Ozzy. You don't want to take the limelight away from him. I get it. But it was like Ozzy Osbourne is Black Sabbath. And I'm like, there was no mention of like the Dio era. There was no like rest in peace Dio. There was no mention of like Ian Gillan or any of the other band members that they've had. Tony Martin, who's probably one of my favorite singers in Black Sabbath, actually. Like the Headless Cross is probably my favorite Sabbath song, and it ain't an Ozzy one. Now, I get it that they've got to keep the focus and everyone knows why they're there, but I did think because it's also Black Sabbath as a band closing up shop, I did think that this would have been the moment to at least mention them or give them a name check in some way.
I would disagree with that because I agree with the whole Ozzy is Black Sabbath thing. They went down the route of that because I personally, if like I was in Black Sabbath, and it was all Ozzy, I get why they were doing it because it was basically like to make up for Ozzy's last tour sort of thing, and obviously what's happening to him. But the way the promotion was with Black Sabbath there, it was kind of like, oh, but we'll put Ozzy's band with them. If I was in Black Sabbath, it would in a way be a little bit like, yeah, but the band's four guys. This is an Ozzy bill, and we're just there, but we're playing at the end. It was just, I don't know, that's just how I would have felt. But I disagree with the whole there's a Dio era and stuff because it's like, especially the Tony Martin, isn't it? Yeah. That sort of stuff that was basically Tony Iommi's solo stuff is where I see it. I don't see it as that was really Black Sabbath. So I disagree on that. And the Dio Sabbath, it was a different thing, So I do, I don't think there should have been paid tribute to anything that wasn't Ozzy Sabbath. And Ozzy Sabbath is my favorite era of Sabbath anyway. But yeah, so I disagree on that a little bit. But I do think in some respects there was the whole but Black Sabbath's four guys. And there's a lot of, now we're doing an Ozzy cover. And in some ways, Ozzy took the limelight and they gave him a cake at the end. And I mean, that's all, fine and good, but there was just some of it that was just, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. And I mean, they probably just didn't care. But if it was me in that band, I would have been a bit like, we're giving Ozzy a cake. But you do realize this band is four people. And if we're going to label it as a Black Sabbath thing, anything about Black Sabbath should have been like, okay, Ozzy's cool and we can promote Ozzy. It was instead of it, that's all fine. But anytime it came to Black Sabbath, it should have been four guys. Instead of giving Ozzy a cake at the end, it should have been one big. I don't know. There was just some bits of that where if it was me, like I say, and I was the guitarist, I would have been a bit. In a way, I get what's happened to Ozzy. I get the whole he didn't do his last tour. I personally would have been a bit, like I say, yeah, but it's 4 of us. We've brought Bill back. I feel like that wasn't emphasised enough. It was just a nice touch where it should have been like, but this is actually quite good. This is quite big. It's all 4 of them. So, but the cake thing, I realised apparently that wasn't on the live stream. I saw something online that said no one saw that, and no one saw, because there was like someone said something about when they departed. It looked like the way the live stream had it. It looked like everyone just sort of walked off, and Ozzy was just left there on his throne, just like, guys, can you like I need to move, and that's the way the live stream kind of portrayed it. But we were there and saw that he, Tony came up to him afterwards, like kind of like, grabbed his hands. It was kind of just whole like, you did well, sort of like, well done, like you went through that. And then gave him a cake at the end. And the look on Ozzy's face was like, what the fuck is...
what do you want me to fucking do with this? Like, he couldn't even lift the damn thing. He's so frail, like, bless him.
What the fuck is this sort of thing? And it was just great. And then obviously the screens went off and everything. So we saw that. So apparently that was on the live stream, though. They didn't capture that. So, but that was interesting. But one band I would say should have been, one person, I think Brian May should have been there. I think
that's a good shout.
Yeah, he's not doing anything at the moment. And him and Tony are really good friends. So I don't know why he wasn't there. That seems like a no-brainer to me.
Or a video message in the very, very least.
That does seem like a no-brainer. And considering we got, because one thing we haven't spoken about, I forget where we're up to even in the thing, to be fair, but one thing we haven't spoken about was Ronnie Wood, which was in this supergroup, who came on, and that was brilliant. And because they were like, from the Rolling Stones, I was like, okay, cool. Like, and Ronnie Wood comes out and he was brilliant.
Yeah, he was great.
And yeah, that was so cool. And it was one of those, like, we got to do from the Rolling Stones. I feel like Brian May should have been there. I don't know. Like, that was one I would say, again, that should have and just wasn't for some reason. And I don't understand why.
There is a list of some of the other band members, other bands that were originally on the bill or supposed to perform but didn't. You had 2 members of Rush were supposed to perform.
So happy. Not a fan of Rush. I'm cool with that.
But apparently they had to back out after, quote, other things came up. We've already mentioned Wolfgang Van Halen was meant to be there. The surviving members of Soundgarden were advertised, but they didn't appear for unknown reasons. And Jonathan Davis of Korn was advertised, but apparently he only appeared in a pre-recorded video tribute, which I don't think I saw. So that must have been another one when I nipped out. I didn't see that.
There was odd pre-recorded and things. Like, I didn't expect Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, I was like, cool. And she was like, sorry, I can't be here. And I was thinking in my head, imagine you were, though, and you come out with fucking, girls just want to have fun. How different of a vibe would that have been? And then in some ways, I was like, you know what? I really kind of wish that would happen.
Well, I was racking my brain. I was thinking, like, did he ever do a duet with Cyndi Lauper, which I can't remember? Like,
and Dolly Parton did a thing as well, didn't she? She did a message as well.
I didn't see that one. I must have been out for that
Dolly
one too.
Parton did a message as well. And Ricky Gervais did a message.
Yes, I did see that. It was great.
That was so the messages were cool, and that was one of the things that's why I didn't want to leave when it was. I thought I just want to see who else says thank you as well. I want to see who else was like, oh, I wish I could have been there. That they were cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to get to a few more comments, guys. Keep your comments coming in. I will get to everyone's, but I am conscious of time and that we need to get through the rest of the set, but I'm going to bring up a few more. JN says, old enough to remember Live Aid and Pink Floyd's final show. Wow. This was easily on par with that. It was a huge popular culture moment. I always think like if I could go back in time to any moment, there's a few actually. It would be like the original Star Wars opening day. That would be cool. But also being there for Live Aid would be... you see the caliber of the musicians in that 80s Live Aid.
Yeah.
Queen, Phil Collins, like, Jesus.
I think everyone said it was quite like this is our Live Aid sort of thing. I think
it is in my life. Yes, certainly in my lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah, and so many people I met in the crowd said the same thing. Different people and at different times were just like, this is basically our Live Aid. This is our like everyone. It was so good, the fact that we were there. And I think I don't know the dude's name, but the guy that he'd been like a manager for the Osbournes or something for many, many years, who had a really weird thing at the beginning where he brought an Aston Villa flag and went up the Villa over and over again, and got loads of boos because obviously there's going to be loads of football fans from different parts of the world or the country or whatever. Especially the country, because you know what the country's like with football. I mean, I don't follow it, but you know the whole like I support this team and this hate this team and blah. You know, and he was like, up the Villa, and then you got loads of boos here and there, and he looked a bit confused. I was like, I don't think you understand how football works. It was, but he made this point of the whole like, and you guys get to be here, and I was like, you know what? Yes, this is yeah.
Keep your comments coming in, guys. We will get to them. Let's move on to our next group now, then, because I realise that Super Group B's been on the screen for quite a while now. Pantera did 4 songs. They did Cowboys from Hell, Walk, Planet Caravan, and Electric Funeral. That one rings a bell, doesn't it?
Yeah, that annoyed me because, like I said, I thought they played it, and I was like, I swear this has happened. I swear, right? And I was like, maybe I'm wrong. I was like, I can't see them. Nah, I was second guessing myself, going, if they did, was this? And I was confused. And then I said it to someone, and they were like, "Yeah, Rival Sons did that." And I thought that was a thing. Why the hell have they come on and done a song we've already heard? That would have left way for a different Pantera song. We would have got 3 Pantera songs, you know. Or if you're going to do another cover, do a different one that no one's played before. It was weird, but Pantera one, I was really looking forward to. I know it's not Pantera; it's like a Pantera tribute because it's only obviously 50% of their members. Zakk Wylde is probably the only choice to do that, you know, instead of Dimebag. Like they did well with it, but they were probably the most disappointing. I was looking forward to them. I was really looking forward to Pantera, and I just don't think they delivered as much as they should have.
Well, Cowboys from Hell and Walk were great. It would have been nice. I think if they'd have just topped it off with 3 Pantera songs would have been the sweet spot, I think. 3 would be the magic number, but instead we got 2 Pantera songs and 2 Black Sabbath songs, one of which had already been played. I think that was the main issue there. I think we should have just got like 1 fresh song there. I'm glad I can say that I've seen Pantera now. I remember their first couple of albums when they were a glam band. I will never forget. They want you to forget. I will never forget because I fucking love those albums. Not the album cover though. What's their first album? The album cover is terrible. I always forget the name of it. It's it looks like someone's drew like a 5-year-old's tried to draw a Thundercat in Crayola, like crayon.
My favorite album of theirs,
Metal Magic. That's the one from '83. God, that's
my
so
favorite album
bad.
of theirs is Power Metal, which was their first kind of thrashy kind of album. It wasn't as like groove metal and stuff as the stuff they got known for, but that was my favorite. That had, you know, Phil Anselmo. Is it Anselmo? Is that how you say his name? But anyway, it had him on vocals. So that was where they got the proper lineup. That was my favorite album by them. Again, it's another one they ignore, which I don't get. I mean, I get that they ignore the glam stuff in the sense of like they've just gone very, very different now, you know, a different singer. And it's kind of, I get that their whole like we're kind of rebranding sort of thing. But that album's always weird that they forget that because there's some really great stuff on it. That's an album I listen to. I mean, it's not on Spotify or anything. I have to go on YouTube but I listen to the album in full loads and loads of times. Yeah, that's a great album. It's a shame they'll never play stuff from that, but I love that album.
Yeah. Next up, we have Tool. We mentioned them a little bit earlier. I hadn't really listened to any Tool songs, in all honesty. Now, at this point, my energy levels were flagging. There was a very, very nice American lady to a couple of seats to my left, and she could see that I was having a hard time. I was doing this. I was nodding off. I was actually falling asleep in a fucking loud heavy metal gig in a stadium. That shouldn't happen. But as I say, we were running on like 4 hours sleep. It was a very, very long day. Probably the heat, the lack of food, the lack of water. A lot of variables here. And she says, I've got some energy. And she had like these pouches. It looked like liquid inside.
When you did that, I really expected, look, I've got some energy. Just hide it under the...
And it was called something like that. It was just like written like just energy. And I thought there is nothing organic in that, is it? It's just pure artificial shit. I was expecting her to like tear it open and like a bright blue neon liquid would come out of it or something like that. And she says like, here, like have this and it'll perk you up. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I didn't think it was like cocaine or something like that. It could have been. But I was like, I just need food. So right around this time, this was where I was like, I need energy.
Well, to be fair, that could have been something. If you had that, it could have turned into the whole ring rave situation and putting on the ring. And you just could have been like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. So Tool played 46 and 2, Hand of Doom, and Enema. It's like the A and the E next to each other. Thoughts on Tool? I was kind of tuning out during this one, I must admit.
They were the one that, like I say, I feel like I saw them do a little bit at Download years ago. It was I listened to like I think the first verse of one song. The thing is, I have listened to Tool's stuff before. Like I know their kind of sound, and I'm not the biggest fan. If I wasn't in pain, I would have stayed, because I'd have been like, it's a band, they're doing music, and I would have probably enjoyed myself. But I was in pain. By this point, it was really hard. And I listened to like the first verse, and I went, you know what? If I don't sit down for 10 minutes now, I'm never going to, because I don't really want to miss anyone else. So that was the time I literally went outside. I think I laid down, like literally just laid down for like 10 minutes. And I could hear them still playing. So I was like, I'm going to go back whilst they're still playing. And I did. I think it was like the last half of the last song I came back. So I think it was like, 10 minutes I sort of dipped out. So yeah, I can't really give too much of a review on that. I kind of disappeared a little bit.
I like how we were both in sync here. Like, yeah, right around Tool. We need to either go and take a seat or get food. So into the queue I went after Tool had finished. And I thought, I'm going to get some food quite easily now. I'm in the queue. I'm conscious of the fact that Slayer are playing next. And I was like, I kind of want to see them. I at least want to see Raining Blood, their main song. That's the one that I absolutely definitely want to see. Sorry, could you just bump my audio down a fraction? I'm just getting the scratch coming through. There we go. So I was back in the queue, and I had my eyes set on a lovely steak bake and sausage roll. Thought that would go down a treat, get some calories in me. And I'm in the queue for about half hour. Get to the front once again, second time during the day. I'm sorry, we've just run out of food. And I was just ready to fucking snap. I was just ready to like reach over and grab the guy by the fucking scruff of the neck and be like, "What? How have you ran out of food?" And there was no. I was actually going to go outside because I thought maybe there'd be some like food vendors outside. There wasn't at all. So I was just exasperated. I was hungry. I was thirsty, and I thought at this point I'm resigning myself to the fact that I will not get anything to drink or eat throughout the rest of this show today. And I'm just going to power through, and I just need to find my second wind. Unfortunately, because I was in the queue for such a long while, I missed pretty much the majority of Slayer's set. Now, Slayer played a good whack of songs, actually. They played Disciple, War Ensemble, Wicked World, South of Heaven, Raining Blood, and Angel of Death. I missed all of those songs, but I did get back for Raining Blood and Angel of Death, two absolute juggernauts of Slayer songs. So I'm very happy that I've seen that, and I can kind of say that I've seen Slayer. I would have liked to have seen War Ensemble as well. I think that would have topped the Holy Trinity off for me of Slayer songs. But very, very good. Amazing vocals, incredible technically, speed, thrash metal playing. It's all there. The chops are still there. It's very, very tricky stuff to play, very tricky stuff to sing. The crowd was going nuts. There was a mosh pit. I could see them like running around in the circle. What do they call it? Like what do they call? That's yeah. It was amazing. Really good experience. So although I only saw two songs, there were at least two of the main Slayer songs that I wanted to see. So I'm happy I made it back for that.
They were again, because that's why Tool, I was like, because I thought I don't really want to miss Slayer. Again, not the hugest Slayer fan, so I stood up in between, because in between songs, it sounds weird, but in between songs was a point where I was like, I don't want to leave, because there could be, like, Youngblood came on sort of after the supergroup. So I was like, something could happen. So, there could be I was like, so I didn't leave between any songs, like between any bands. But Slayer, again, because I knew who was coming on afterwards, I thought that 10 minutes, I was like, I need just another 5 just to sit down. I thought, like, if I don't, I will just collapse. My legs will be like jelly. So I think I listened to the first half of the first song, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to do about 5 minutes this time. I'll probably skip one song, and I'll be there for their last song. I want to hear Raining Blood. Because for me, as I say, I'm not the hugest Slayer fan. I thought, if I hear like 2 songs by them, cool. And I came back about 30 seconds before Raining Blood. And then I heard that and Angel of Death, and I thought, you know what? I'm very happy with that. But yeah, brilliant live, brilliant band live.
And I think they're playing in London tonight, if I remember rightly, with Amon Amarth, and I think there's a few other bands as well that are playing. So yeah. Again, I don't know if I'd go to a full Slayer show. I think I'd be terrified of the crowd, in all honesty.
That was the thing about this. There was a lot of bands there that it's really cool that I got to actually see them, because I wouldn't have gone to a whole thing. So yeah, it was cool. And some of them, like Lamb of God, where I literally knew the 2 songs, I thought, I'm happy. I saw the only 2 songs I know. Cool. I wouldn't have wanted to go to a whole Lamb of God gig. So, and it's cool. And they jumped and they put on. I was like, cool. So yeah.
Now the next one says Fred Durst changes pre-recorded. I don't remember this one in between.
Yeah, I don't either.
Did it actually happen?
That. Or did I saw that, and I was I don't know. And I'm there like, did I dip at like some point where there was like no band playing? But
I was back though. I think it went straight to Guns N' Roses. I think it went straight to Guns N' Roses,
That's what I thought. I was like, did I have a blackout or something at this point? I didn't know, because I don't remember that either. And the thing is, I didn't leave between bands. I didn't. Because, like I just told you a minute ago, but also because people use that time to leave, and you ain't getting out. Like, it's hard. There's loads of people trying to shimmy out. So, yeah, but I don't remember that either. Like, I don't know what happened.
I think we're just going to skip past it. We're going to get to the... Okay, now we're on to the dishonourable mentions here. Guns N' Roses.
Do you know what? Guns N' Roses were one I was looking forward to. I mean, thing is, obviously, I know it's not Guns N' Roses, because obviously Izzy's not there, and I know Steven Adler's not there. I've seen them before. I thought they were all right the first time I saw them. And this time I did, to be fair, again, they were one I thought, you know what? If there's going to be a time to bring out Izzy Stradlin just for a song, or even for the set, this will be somewhere they could do it. So I didn't hold out loads of hope, but I thought this could be a thing. I was interested to see them. And the thing that annoyed me was they played the most Sabbath covers out of anyone. They played 4, which they got 6 songs. Only 2 were Guns N' Roses. And I was like, but you know how many songs you've got? And again, like I said before, 1 Sabbath cover, cool. But we don't need 4. Like, you're here, you're Guns N' Roses, and it's actually cool that you're here. Why are we only getting to... It was weird to me. It was very, very strange that they did that. But I will say, they played Never Say Die, which I said someone in the crowd. I really hope someone played that, but I know no one's going to do it. But that would be one song I would love to hear. And they did. And I thought, you know what? You fair play, guys. You've done this. But yeah, I know they were a little bit off here and there in bits.
In a number of places, probably more so than they were consistently playing. Okay, so Guns N' Roses. I crossed them off my list a couple of weeks ago at the same place, Villa Park. Having seen a bunch of videos on YouTube, I was very, very anxious to see them. Sorry, can you just turn my volume down a little bit more? I was very, very anxious to see them because I'd seen a bunch of live videos, and knowing what Axl Rose's voice is like now, I was prepared for a very excruciating first Guns N' Roses experience. And I was really pleasantly surprised, actually, on the whole. There were some timing issues. His voice wasn't there on a lot of the songs. He was using his head voice because he's just completely stripped his vocals now. But I thought he hung in there pretty well with some very, very fast, challenging songs from, when he was back in his heyday, trying to sing them now. I don't even know how old Axl is now. Is he in his mid-60s? Is he now, or something like that? Or something like that? I'm not sure.
Time would say 60s, but I don't know.
So... And I was in the standing crowd for that. Now, for me, I was in the Douglas Ellis stand, so I was in the seating. I was off to the side this time. So part of me was thinking maybe he was singing terribly when I saw him a couple of weeks ago there. And it could just be the acoustics. Maybe if you're right front and center and you've got all the speakers, maybe the levels are balanced out and it sounds a little bit weaker, or, with not as much support if you're in the seating area or something like that. All of this was going through my head. But he sounded terrible. Right from the off, he starts at the piano, and I thought, oh, we're getting November Rain. That's like a 10-minute song. That will cut into some of their runtime. And he played It's All Right. And already in a, I mean, I don't know how difficult that song is to sing. I'm not a vocalist by any stretch of the imagination, but it was in his mid-range, which anything should be his stronger vocal, and he was off key. He was wavering so much. He was out of time, and I was just filled with this huge sense of dread, like, oh God, this is the first song, and this is easy. This is a walk in the park. This is your starter for 10, and he sounds terrible. Well, then that progressed onto our next song, Never Say Die, which is a great fucking song. It's a wonderful song.
I'm so happy they did it, though. I am so happy they did it. I thought, you know what, we're getting Never Say Die, and I thought we weren't going to. I thought this is just not going to happen.
Suited to Guns N' Roses back in their heyday, absolutely. A wonderful choice. I actually think the covers they picked were a really good match for Guns N' Roses. Unfortunately, they can't match his vocals anymore.
But Sabbath Bloody Sabbath again, and like you say, I was like, that's going to be cool.
Yeah, you had Junior Eyes. Yeah, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. You did actually mention this to me a couple of days before, saying that you heard that they were sound checking that song.
Yeah, and I love that song as well. So they picked two really good songs.
And here's the thing, like, as people get older, I'm aware that for the most part their vocals are not going to be what they were back in the day. A lot of bands detune, you know, they have to sing in a lower octave, a different register in order to preserve their voice. I get that completely. And that'd be one thing, you know, he's using his head voice. He's not using a lot of support. He's trying to preserve his voice. And also I'm conscious of the fact that when I saw him, they have then been touring around the majority of Europe, I want to say, night after night after night, and putting on a show like that, like a 3-hour show each time, is going to do a number on your vocals. So I thought maybe it is starting to catch up with him, especially if we're at the back end of a world tour for Guns N' Roses. But simple fucking timing. His timing was completely off, and he did this when I went to see him. Night Train, which is my favorite Guns N' Roses song, was all over the place, was completely ruined by Axl being bars ahead of the song, completely and utterly, hopelessly out of time. And this isn't some kind of thing like rubato where you play with the meter of the song. No. I don't know if he's had problems with his earpiece. I don't know, but I was getting Vince Neil vibes. He was out of breath during a lot of the songs, and his energy is there. He's looking fitter than he ever is. He's running up and down the stage, but to the detriment of the vocals, there was moments where he was sprinting around the stage and he couldn't get the words out, and like fragments of words from the sentence were coming out, and he wasn't singing. But it was the timing thing that was an issue for me. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, especially when you get that riff towards the end, one of like the best fucking riffs in that song. Or, you know, it's like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, da, 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 da. And he couldn't even keep time to that. 2 times that repeats, 2 times that vamps in the song, and he fucked up both times. And if you look at Slash on the video playback, you could tell that he looked fuming, especially when he like walked off stage at the end. He did not look happy. So yeah, I don't know if Axl Rose just can't hear the rest of the band, if his earpiece is fucking up, or if in his own Axl Rose world he thinks he's somehow in time when he isn't. I don't know, but it was the timing issue. If you go on YouTube and you watch it, get about 3 minutes into Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, it's horrendously out of time. And that was the big thing for me. Like, I could maybe take his voice not sounding great and sounding like Mickey Mouse or Herbert the pedophile from Family Guy, whatever you want to say. But the timing issue, I'm like, this is basic fucking bare bones, like singing if you're a musician, just rhythm is integral. That's probably the most important thing. So I was just, you know, when you watch X Factor or something and you get like secondhand embarrassment and you just want the world. I had that during the entire Guns N' Roses set. By the time they actually got to their 2 songs at the end, Welcome to the Jungle and Paradise City, I know it's a crowd pleaser, but it goes
doesn't
on
please me.
It goes on for a while, doesn't it?
But the thing is, it was. I don't think they played it any like they. I don't think they did the whole thing because it goes on and it goes on and it goes on, and it didn't. So I feel like they shortened it a bit. I feel like that whole because I feel like the end of it because I it's the one song I'll skip. Well, I skipped that and Sweet Child of Mine. Really, I mean, I don't. I prefer
that was the one I was expecting. I thought, Welcome to the Jungle, and
yeah,
Sweet Child
I'm
of
happy
Mine.
they didn't because it seemed like the very obvious choice. If I listen to that album, they are the 2 I skip the most. I feel like I don't know. It's weird on those 2 because I feel like in some ways I prefer Paradise City, but as an overall, it's like Sweet Child of Mine draws me back because Paradise City just goes on and on. And I think it's like, what is it? The last two verses, they repeat like twice each or something. No, the last two choruses, it does it like another 4 times. And it gets to a point where you think, okay, we get it. Like, do you know what I mean? And that song always, so the fact they played it, I mean, I was singing along, I was happy, but I did think I want Mr. Brownstone. I want It's So Easy. You know what I mean? If they're going to do something a little bit different. But I do think I don't think they played the whole thing, and then we only got 2, which was weird. Why did we only get 2? Like, you got 6 songs. I think also at that point, being there, you think, right, we're going to do a Sabbath cover. We actually have to play 5 of our own fucking songs here. Let's go. But they played 2, and it was weird.
You mentioned this as well. I clocked it as well, that Axl Rose was the only one to thank Sharon Osbourne at the end.
He's going to get some proper brownie points there, isn't he?
He's like, see, I played 4 covers. I did the most amount of covers, and I thanked Sharon Osbourne at the end. I'm going to say like 1,000 Hail Marys.
An hour later on Friday because he gets an extra cookie.
JN in the comments says, I loved Guns N' Roses show. Sorry, warts and all. Axl being out of tempo was weird, but this was a day to allow for stuff like that. Nothing's perfect. That's what made this event so special. I think there has to be some wiggle room with stuff like that, I suppose it's just good to have them on the bill, but to me, they were the worst thing in the day.
I think the reason Guns N' Roses gets so much shit for doing things like that is because Axl Rose has a very, I don't really care though, attitude about it. Like when he showed up late at the Leeds Fest, which is like famous, 3 hours late or some shit. By that point, just don't bother going, you know. But like, yeah, and I think he has this very sort of like, yeah, but I'm Axl Rose, I can do what I want kind of attitude. I think that's why he gets a lot of shit for it. So I get what you mean. Because it's like, oh, who was it that someone did something? I can't remember, but went wrong, and it was just kind of funny because when bands do like they fuck up a little bit, it is just kind of like you say, it's special being there. You know, it makes it authentic. It's like when I play video games I mean, I don't like game breaking bugs, that just ruins the whole thing, obviously. But like when, and I think Ghost of Tsushima did it, I was walking and I think like you just turn and like my sword like just went through the horse by like just turning of the graphics. And it's just little things like that. Just like, it just makes it feel authentic, like a game, rather than like everything has to be 100% polished. So I get that. I think Axl Rose just gets a lot of shit because he does have that attitude of like, yeah, but I'm Axl Rose, I can do what I want. Where it's like, and I think this is one thing that Vince Neil is shit live. He is, but at least he kind of, you see him like he's just really cares and he puts in that effort, which with how bad he is, it's still a little bit, you know what I mean? But he puts in that effort, and he, you know, like when he cried at the last Motley Crue show, it's that kind of, you know, he wants to be there. He wants to actually, he enjoys it rather than just this whole like, yeah, well, I'm better than you. I think that's the thing that Axl gets. But it was good to see them on the bill. It was nice there. I do wish we got more original Guns N' Roses songs because I do like Guns N' Roses. Again, not one of my favorite bands, but they're more favorite to the fact that I have spent, you know, X amount of money to see one Guns N' Roses show. So, yeah, but it was good to see them again because, again, they're not a band I would have gone to see again. I didn't go this time like when you went. So it was good they were there, and it was nice to see them. He's the only one that fucking, what was it? He tripped over almost, and he went, "Oh, before I trip over some shit." And I'm like, "Oh, Axl." That was
Axl
fun again.
his ego just bruised there. I'm going to try and hold on to the memory of seeing them a couple of weeks ago because I had a great fucking time at that gig, and it was a really good show. Again, like 3-hour set, really, really tricky songs, just boom, 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 back to back to back. And I thought he put on a great show and held it together really well. So I'm just going to try and this was the awkward DLC of Guns N' Roses for me yesterday. And Carl says Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath is in my top 5 albums ever. Wow. Yeah. No, really good stuff.
I'd say my favorite Sabbath album overall was the first one. I remember, and I mean, I'll say it briefly now, but like that song, Black Sabbath, I remember listening to it for the first ever time. And I was like, I think 12, something like that. Because then when I started getting into this sort of music, I was about 12. So I was that sort of age, and I was in my bedroom. It was like 1 a.m, and I was just listening to it. And I think I had headphones on, like just listening to music. And that came on the first time, and I heard the rain and the bell, and it was really loud because this was the point in time I didn't give a shit. The music was just, I had it really loud. It was 1 a.m, so it was dark in my room and everything, and I heard that, and I was like, the fuck just happened? It was like the vibe has changed. It was weird, and then you hit it, and I was like, this
Yeah.
is something else, and it just blew me away. And that was just yeah, that
all
was
those forbidden intervals, those flat fifths
Yeah.
in there, like, oh, this just sounds like you're raising Satan, doesn't it? Just
I remember, and I went to school when I told people about it. I was like, dude, if you heard this, and I just explained the whole thing, and someone at school, I think, was just like, what, did you like get scared? I was like, mate, it wasn't a fact of getting scared. It was just like, this is just, I was in a new realm. This was so like, do you know what I mean? I was 12 years old. I wasn't going out like, dropping acid or anything, but like, I was like, I felt like I just, like that, what was it, that cliche, like Uncle Wizard look with the beard and the whole, where he's just like, hey, you want some like magic dust? It just felt like that. You know
There's
what I mean?
something so innately creepy about that album cover as well.
It was great.
Isn't it? It's the whole package. It really is. And I mean, you mentioned you listened to that in your teenage years, right? Or do you say 12 or whatever? Imagine listening to that for the first time in 1970, hearing something like that.
It'd never been done.
Yeah, like, God, just knock you for six, wouldn't it? DMG says Axl's history of notoriously boorish behavior during Guns N' Roses' heyday unfortunately grants him little grace from most these days. Yeah, see, I thought he'd got himself straightened out. Like he's in great shape. His energy seems to be there. He's got a new set of Hollywood winning smile, hasn't he? He's like Shergar, just like ding. He seems like he's in good spirits and like he's got himself together a little bit. But there comes a point in a man's life where you, like Ozzy has realized, where you just have to hang it up. It's like the mind is willing, but the body isn't, or the voice isn't in this case. So, yeah. JN says, loved how Guns N' Roses played 4 Sabbath covers, was thrilling seeing Duff, Slash and Axl on stage, and the music was heavy. Yesterday was a real-time documentary of metal, was a 10-hour lecture. Yeah.
I just feel it was too many. Like, I get it was it was cool seeing them do it. I just think it was too many for what Guns N' Roses have. I wish there was a bit more original in it. Because imagine as well, like, because if I was in that boat of I'd never seen them live, or the whole wouldn't pay to see them do a whole set, I don't love them loads, it would have been a bit disappointing. It just felt like you didn't really see them. It would have been, which I do think that many bands, it's important that you get a big handful. Because what my mate said to me was, he was just like, well, think of it as it's a big Black Sabbath show, but they can't do 11 hours. And it's sort of, the other bands are sort of filling that in, and then all their original songs are the sort of support band. And I was like, look, I get what you're saying, but I can't think of it like that. So shit. I was like, I don't like it. But yeah, I just feel like you should have seen more. I don't know.
Okay, on to the big one now. This was a bucket list one for me. Metallica. So I had very, very questionable music taste in my youth for a long time, actually, up until maybe about the age of 18. No bullshit. Very, very questionable. I'm talking top 40 pop charts, just no sense of musical identity whatsoever. Grew up in a household like Motown music, things like that. I was big into film scores and whatnot, but I really didn't discover rock and metal until maybe 18, like sixth form.
I think my questionable music taste has started now that I'm older. Now has sort of like, I'll hear like Sabrina Carpenter like play a song, I'm like, that's pretty good, like that. Yeah. But my questionable music taste has begun now.
So when I was getting into rock and metal, it was in sixth form. A lot of my friendship group at the time, they were all in bands. They were playing instruments and whatnot, and they were just listening to rock music all the time. I actually got into rock music for the first time playing Guitar Hero 3, I'm ashamed to say, but at least it put me on the right path, and I've never looked back since.
The one with Ozzy in it?
Slash. Was Ozzy in that too?
Ozzy was in, it might have been 4 then that Ozzy was in. Ozzy was in one of them.
No, you're thinking of Brutal Legend, aren't you?
No, Ozzy was in one of the Guitar Heroes.
I think that was Guitar Hero 6. I can't remember. Anyway, Guitar Hero 3 got me into rock and metal. And I was playing some of the songs, and I asked my mate at the time, I said, can you please recommend to me, because I don't know any of these metal bands, I haven't heard of any of them before, can you recommend me like 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 bands to get me started that I can listen to their albums and get into it? And he says, I'll give you 2. Start with Iron Maiden and start with Metallica. And I think that was an excellent couple of suggestions there. So I think I went for Metallica first, because I thought the name just looks cooler. I guess it's standing out to me more. I'll go with Metallica first. Fired Up Kill 'Em All, and it was just, I was just blown away. You know, like the fastest guitar solos, speed metal that I'd ever heard in my life, thrash metal. That, of course, continued into Ride the Lightning, which is probably my favorite album of theirs. Some great tunes on that, including my favorite Metallica song, Fade to Black, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. It goes on. I listened to them all. I even liked Load and Reload, and at that point, Metallica became my favorite band. I remember picking up the Black Album alongside the release of Death Magnetic, which I think was 2008, if I remember rightly. But then something changed. I don't know if I listened to them too much, or I don't know if with metal and rock being such a vast, array of genres and whatnot, I just sort of found 80s glam, and that was my tribe. That was the one that I favored the most. I sort of turned my back on Metallica a little bit. Just didn't find myself listening to them all that much. And of course, the last couple of albums, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I don't think I've listened to that whole thing yet. And their new album, I haven't listened to at all. I will do, but I just haven't got around to it. But nonetheless, Metallica always stayed on my list of bands that I really wanted to see at some point. And I am actually seeing them next year. I'm seeing Metallica in London. They're doing a 2-day set, a brand new set list on each day over, I think it's like a Friday and a Sunday, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. But when they're on the bill for this, I'm like, if anything goes wrong with that solo gig, or they have to drop out of it, or something happens, I can at least now say that I've seen Metallica. And, you know, there is a bit of a focus on some of their newer material in there, which I was like, again, with something like this, stick to the crowd-pleasing ones, do some of your earlier stuff maybe. Of course, you've got the obligatory Black Sabbath cover in there as well. This was incredible to me. Just seeing Metallica, and yeah, I was looking at the monitors, but every now and then it was that moment where you ground yourself back to reality, and you look at like the little figures of Metallica on stage, and you're like, yeah, they're there. I'm here. I'm watching them. So it was great to finally cross Metallica off my list, even though it was just a few songs.
Well, this is the thing. I've never been the hugest fan of Metallica. Like, I like Metallica. They're kind of, to me, similar-ish to Joe Satriani in the sense of like, I'll listen and go, yeah, they're cool, but I won't go and listen to loads of their stuff. Like, you know, I like them to an extent. I mean, Joe Satriani I saw last month, but like, who actually played a Metallica song.
Oh, did he? Okay.
This is all rounded together. But yeah, like a whole, I like them in passing. I do like some of the stuff, like Master of Puppets has like one of my favorite riffs. I absolutely love that. And so the fact that they played that made me so happy. I stayed for their whole set. They were not a band that I was like, I need to leave, you know. It was a whole, I really wanted to see Metallica, but like I say, I'm not the huge Metallica fan. It's not a band that I'd ever have paid loads of money to you know what I mean, to go to a full gig. You know, it was one of them where if they weren't here, I wouldn't have seen them. So, but the thing is, like, because the thing is, gig price of it's like what, 200 quid to see them. If it was 50 quid, I'd spend 50 quid to see them. You know what I mean? But it's that whole level of like, I don't know enough stuff that it would be, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hour show that, you know, but for 50 quid, I'd, you know, cool. But for 200 quid, it's not worth the money for me. You know what I mean? So if they weren't here, I wouldn't have seen them. But I'm really happy I saw them, and they played, you know, For Whom the Bell Tolls. And that was one, I think I said to you in the car, of, you know what? I would like them to play that. Probably won't. We'll probably get Enter Sandman. But they played that, and I went, I'm happy. I was like, this is great. Didn't play Enter Sandman, which I'm not overly fussed they didn't. But I kind of wish they did, only because Joe Satriani covered Enter Sandman. And I heard him play it. I thought, you know what, I'm seeing Metallica. It'd be nice to actually hear Metallica play it. But, you know, they played Master of Puppets, which, to me, even if that was the only song I heard, cool. Like, that to me was enough. As I say, I'm not the hugest fan, but they were really, really good live. And like I say, that's one of my favorite riffs. I absolutely love that song. And there are bands that when, because at work, at one of my previous jobs, there was a guy there that was a huge Metallica fan. So he'd always be like, when he was putting music on and stuff, we'd always put on Metallica. And they're a band that, like, you know, they play, and I love listening to them. I'm like, oh, this is really great, but it's not like a go-to, you know what I mean, for myself. So yeah, but they were again, like yourself, like a whole, like, I'm really glad to have seen them, and they put on a really good show. One really, really great performance.
Yeah, they did Hole in the Sky, Black Sabbath cover. Creeping Death, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Johnny Blade, another Black Sabbath cover. Battery and Master of Puppets, and I was like, that was my taster. That was my taster for next year, and then I get 2 full set lists, which I'm absolutely out of my
For
mind.
Whom the Bell Tolls and Master of Puppets were a highlight. I mean, we thought nothing else matters might creep its way in.
Yeah, I thought the crowd pleasing ones, that's one of their main ones. Anything off the Black Album, really, it was very commercial. I still love that album to death. I think that was probably one of the first rock metal albums that I bought, actually, was the Black Album. I was speaking to, we didn't mention this actually, but the whole community of people there, like everyone was so friendly, conversational, like you just chatting to everyone left, right, and center. For international, like I think in the span of 10 minutes I chatted to someone from Israel, the east coast of the United States, Canada, a guy from Scotland. There was so many people there. You could hear like different accents, different languages. It was incredible. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but it was just a really, really great community of people there. Oh yeah, I know that the woman that I met from the States, the East Coast, she was a huge Metallica fan. I can't remember how many times she said she's seen them, like 20 odd fucking times or something. She said she saw them 4 times in the span of 1 week. Which I was like, wow, fair enough. Wow. I was like, at that point, I don't think they're going to play anything new on the set. I think, it's going to be the same set every night. But yeah, she's a huge fan, so fair enough.
I would have done that with Van Halen, though. I'd have been like, if they came to the UK, it would have been like, right, I'm going to that one. I'm going to every day.
When Wasp do their final tour, I was tempted to do some for this tour, but I'm only seeing them the one date in Nottingham. But if they ever do their final tour, Wasp, my favourite band, I probably will travel around to at least a few that are relatively easy to get to. I think, because yeah, we're not going to get many more years from them. Probably like 10 years tops.
But speaking of like other bands, one band, if the dude was still alive, Motorhead would have been there.
Oh god, yeah.
Because that was
they had the DJ, didn't they? And they did play a couple of Motorhead songs. I did think that
it's like there was the DJ played a handful of Van Halen songs as well. So again, if Ed was alive, it would have definitely been like, we need you guys here. He would have definitely been asked, and I think that's why Wolfgang was going there. I'm not knocking Wolfgang at all. I really like his music, but it was the whole, obviously he's got the Van Halen name, he's representing his father, like that was all asked for that reason, I think. So yeah, he's another one where if he was alive would have been asked. But yeah, Motorhead was one that I did think when they started playing him of like, do you know who should have been here, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, Lemmy's another one. I never got to see Motorhead in my lifetime, and I really regret that. I really wish because I remember there being one gig that I could have gone to and I didn't for whatever reason, and I'm still kicking myself about that to this day. Cole says, seen Metallica about 5 or 6 times, from them being top bill of the festivals I attend growing up. I've never been a big fan, but they always deliver what they play live. Thought they killed it yesterday. Yeah,
that's the thing. They did deliver. They did do really, really well. Same as yourself, like same as Carl. Like, it's not the biggest fan, but it was great seeing them. Great atmosphere. Like, if tickets weren't 200 quid, like I would happily spend 50 quid and be like, this is going to be a great atmosphere. You know what I mean? But yeah, so really, really happy. That got to actually see them.
I think I've paid $212 for Metallica, which is up there, but the way I try and it in my mind is that they're playing. You're essentially seeing 2 full shows of Metallica with a full different set list both of those nights. So if you look at it at that, just a little over 100 quid.
Exactly. For a band these days, that's pretty cheap. Like, it's not bad, and considering how high up they are in like the level of in the hierarchy of bands, that's not bad going.
It makes me laugh because I remember this must have been it wouldn't have been the Death Magnetic tour. I don't know where it would have been. Maybe like a festival or something. I knew that Metallica were doing that, like a solo show. I think it was actually. It might not have been a festival. And I got through to tickets and saw that tickets were 100 quid, I think, at the time. And I was like, there is no way that I'm paying 100 quid for a band. It's not happening. That's too much.
That's now, what I said with,
now it's like 150 is the minimum.
That's what I said with Guns N' Roses. The first, like when I saw them, it was, I paid 95. I was like, I didn't stand for them. I sat, and standing was like 120, and I was like, I'm not paying 100 quid to see a band. And Guns N' Roses, I've gone through stages of loving Guns N' Roses, and I really wanted to see them, but I was like, you know, so I'm not paying over 100 quid for a band. Guns N' Roses, not paying over 100 quid to see Guns N' Roses. I was like, and I chose a seat that was like, I was like 95. I was like, there you go. I'm not doing over 100. I was like, but yeah, now it's the norm, isn't it?
Yeah. JN says saw Metallica in '92. I was a glint in my father's eye at that time. Not even that. I was born '93, I'm afraid. But yeah, just peak Metallica right there. Good stuff. JN says as well, the late Peter Steele and Typo Negative would have been a nice touch. Yeah.
I mean, to be, I say it was there. There's a handful of people that could have, you know, would have been good to see, but I do think they nailed majority. I don't think there's many left off.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I was to choose one, I think I'd probably go with Brian May. Would have been the one where I thought, because he's down the road. You know what I mean? He's not got far to come either. And he's good friends with Tony, so he's probably the one that was a surprise that there was no. He was the surprise that there was no surprise.
Jayan says, what was the quality of merchandise on sale yesterday? Did you guys buy stuff? And if so, what did you get? Well, as I mentioned, I held it up at the beginning. I don't know if Jayan, you tuned in by then. I got given, everyone in the VIP got given this goodie bag. It's just bottle openers, posters, lanyards, a very creased vinyl at this point. Hopefully the vinyl isn't snapped inside. I've just thought of that. And then I bought this. So it was really, it was fairly low-key stuff,
yeah,
wasn't it?
There were scarves, which I was slightly tempted by a scarf because I thought that actually looks quite cool.
It was almost like a football scarf, wasn't it? Like
yeah, but it looked really cool. And I thought, you know what? I thought that'd be quite cool. But there was something about it, the sun being around and going, let's buy a scarf that my brain just couldn't accept.
It would have protected your neck, though, from the sunburn.
It would have. But something about my brain just couldn't comprehend getting a scarf and it being like July.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand it. But I do wish I got a T-shirt because that would have been cool. But it was that whole... Didn't want to carry around a T-shirt, but I could have gone back to the car. We won't mention that because that's the thought process I had ages after the fact. But it's 45 quid a T-shirt and I'm very... now I'm very like I don't like to take pictures. And that's kind of gone into the whole like I always got T-shirts, and not that I'm against getting T-shirts now, but it just to me is very like I'm just not very materialistic with gigs anymore. It's like I'm there and that's what I do it for, being there, being in the moment. So but yeah, I do wish I got a T-shirt and it would have been the same T-shirt you got because it's stitched in rather than because that's cool. It's the back of the T-shirt with the whole everyone that's on it, and it's just commemorative. Even if for some weird reason Ozzy does another show, it's like, but look, that's what that is, and that's just the brilliance of it.
Yeah. I think they had like maybe 5 T-shirt designs total. There was one that had more purple on it, and it said "Back to the Beginning." This one's almost it's very Bohemian Rhapsody. Where is it? Just like the very stripped back black and white.
Well, this is the thing. The one with the purple. If that design was stitched on like yours, I would have gone for that with the. Yeah. But yeah, it was that. Yeah.
And then they had a very, very fucking overpriced hoodie, which I think was like 95 quid.
Yeah,
I think. I don't know why hoodies just cost that much. It's ridiculous. One thing they didn't have. So whenever I go to a gig or like a concert or whatever, I always like to buy a program if one's on sale. I never used to buy T-shirts. So a lot of the gigs that I used to go to, I'd buy a program just to say that I went there, and I just ignore the T-shirts. Now I tend to buy both. Now I tend to go for a program and a shirt. But recently, programs seem to be a thing of the past. But I did hear some people say that they bought one for that. Yeah, I didn't see one at all. So now I'm going to go on eBay and I'm going to find them for like fucking 500 quid or something for a program.
Yeah, they've got like interviews with the bands and stuff in them.
Ah, shit! I didn't see where that was being sold at all. It wasn't in the merch stands. I didn't see. And I didn't get one chucked in with my bag.
Yeah, but I know they made a point of it. Like Sharon said that there was
Great. I'm going to go on eBay now and drop some more fucking money. Carl says, I could have bought a ticket for yesterday, but it was 500 quid. Just couldn't afford it. That's what it is, man.
That's the thing.
It's a lot.
As much as there was everyone in the world wanted to go, it's also the price, isn't it? Like, you know, and this is the thing about tickets. And I mean, there's no way around it when it comes to a stadium show, in the sense that they've got to be to break even and all that sort of stuff and to earn money. But sometimes you look at those kind of things and you think, you know what's really sad? Like, only rich people get to go. I mean, we're not rich by any stretch, but you know what I mean? It's that sort of level where you just can't afford it. Even if it's like, if they literally went on sale a week earlier, I could have afforded it, or a week later. But it is just those things, isn't it, where you just think, you know what, it's if I just had money, I could go. Like when you see, I mean, I don't really agree with loads of meet and greets and stuff, but when you see like Kiss, it's like what, $1,000 to meet them. You just see those things sometimes. You just think, you know what, it's annoying because it's like it's the rich people will always just get to go and I won't. So I do understand that with the gig tickets, and completely understand with that one. So it was just, that's why I feel so fortunate that we were able to actually get a ticket.
And that's why I'm glad that they did open it up to a pay-per-view, just so that people can in some way have that moment saying goodbye to Black Sabbath and Ozzy, and seeing all these other wonderful bands as well. Like, they still had that opportunity to do it. I guarantee they'll probably bring it out on Blu-ray as well, and DVD. A DVD is still a thing. DVD is still a thing.
It'll be a Netflix thing, won't it now?
Oh God, no! I just want, like, I can imagine them, Sharon making a bit more money for herself.
It'll be a Disney Plus thing, because Ozzy did his, which I didn't watch. He did a award Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. I think it was on Disney Plus, and Sammy Hagar was there, and Wolfgang Van Halen, and I haven't watched it yet, to be fair, but that was on Disney Plus, so it'll be a Disney Plus thing, won't it?
JN says, you guys deserve a medal for what you went through. Lack of food and water sounds terrible. You were fine for water. You had like very handy water stands.
But I didn't drink a drop until after tour, because if I need a piss, I ain't going.
Yeah.
But it's afterwards I thought, I didn't think that through.
It was the food that gets to me. I like my regular meal times. It did get to me. Right. We're into the big show finale now. Ozzy and Black Sabbath. Let's talk Ozzy.
Ozzy was
go for it, man. Oh, that needs to scroll. Hang on. Oh, technical issues, just like the day yesterday. There we go. Scroll. Boom. There we go. That's better.
Yeah. I was so happy, because the thing that obviously the main reason everyone went was obviously Ozzy. But the thing is as well, we had tickets. It was that last tour, and it was we had tickets for the Birmingham show, which was the last show, and it was his hometown, everything, and it was delayed because COVID. Then he was ill, and then it was and then he cancelled it, and then announcing this, because I said it, didn't I? I was like, they'll just do one show. I didn't expect it to be like this, Metallica and everyone there, but I was like, they'll do one show. Ozzy will do some big, and that's what it'll be in Birmingham, and they did, and we saw it, and we're like, this, we have to go to this. All the other bands just literally made it a whole we cannot miss this kind of thing, and Sabbath bringing Bill Ward back was a whole dude, there's no brainer here. We can't not you know what I mean? So, but Ozzy was, it's weird. I used to be a fan, I think, of Ozzy's solo stuff more than Black Sabbath, but I think the older I got, the more I love Black Sabbath. The thing about Black Sabbath has always been, I mean, Ozzy Black Sabbath is my favorite era, but the thing about Black Sabbath, a lot of their songs are long, and a lot of their songs are if you make a playlist, they're not playlists sort of whack in War Pigs, because it's fucking long and it's not the same vibe as putting Motley Crue, Van Halen, and you know what I mean. So it kind of skips the playlist rotation basically. So I think I was more of a fan of Ozzy solo stuff growing up. Older I got, I became more of a fan of Black Sabbath overall. But yeah, seeing Ozzy do his solo set, it was 5 songs, but seeing that, I was like, this has to happen, and he delivered. Like a postman Tourette's, he fucking delivered. You know what I mean? It was a proper. It was great. And I mean, obviously, granted, there were moments where his voice went a little bit flat, or he sort of didn't get the word out. But can you blame him? You know what I mean? It was so. And the thing is, it's can you blame him with having what he has and having Parkinson's and stuff? But that being said, it's it wasn't exactly it was. Well, majority was a bit shit, but we got to see him. Majority was fucking amazing. There was just little moments, and you know what I mean. So, and the thing is, Ozzy's always been one where he's never been able to string a sentence together, no matter how old he is. He's always been and you're like, what? You know what I mean? There's so many interviews with Sharon where, because I think there's a Graham Norton one I can see in my head vividly, where he says something, And everyone just kind of goes silent because they didn't have a clue. And Sharon just goes, I'm going to translate for Ozzy. And everyone's like, and I was like, that is exactly it. And he's always been like that. But now, obviously, he is more sort of, you can hear he tries so hard and the words just take that extra second or two to actually come out. But he's, no matter how he's been with talking or whatever, he's always been able to sing and be brilliant. The first time I saw him, brilliant, put on a stellar performance. And yeah, he's like the opposite of Vince Neil. Vince Neil can talk, he cannot sing. You know, Ozzy cannot talk, but he's always been able to sing and deliver a performance. Yeah. And this wasn't shy of any, you know, amazing performance. You could. It was sad though, wasn't it? It wasn't just a whole. Well, not just a whole. It wasn't at all. It wasn't a whole. This is quite sad that he's just doing this. Just let it go. It wasn't that kind of sad, but it was just a whole like. It's just sad watching him, and you could tell he wanted to get out of that chair. He wanted to move. He loved being there. He wanted to see everyone's faces. He was like, the fact that I get to do this, he was so happy. And you could also see it in him that he was like, the fact that this is pretty much my last chance to do this, I'm really sad to be basically disappearing after this. And it was really sad. There were people crying next to me. There was like, it was a difficult performance. But were you as well, like, from as soon as he came out, like kind of nervous, like, oh, I really wonder how this is going to go?
Well, there was a doubt that was we had a bet because you didn't think that Ozzy would make it to this show, and then there was a horrible. It was a fake article, but it looked legit at the time. And I messaged you late at night. I saw that Ozzy had dropped out of the show. I think what they had done was they'd taken the statement that was from Wolfgang Van Halen dropping out of the show and changed a few things in there and put Ozzy in there, but it looked legit. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. And right before, because the gap between Metallica and Ozzy coming out was electric. Like it was that wait felt so long. And the guy to my left said, "Do you think Ozzy's going to come out, or do you think they're going to have someone say, you know, like he can't make it, he's not feeling up to it?" And I said, oh God, don't put that idea in my head. Like, he'll be here. They wouldn't have put all this on if he wasn't going to be here. And then Tom Morello walked out, who I actually didn't know until Ozzy mentioned it at the end of his set, saying that Tom Morello was sort of like the director of all of this. Like, Sharon organized it all, but he was directing and contacted all of the bands and rounded everyone up. He came out and it looked like he was about to issue a statement. And he was like reading from an auto cue, and he almost had like this panicked look in his face. And I thought, oh, God, this isn't going to happen, is it? But then he introduced a video about Randy Rhoads, right? And it was Randy Rhoads' sister showing you like a bit of his guitar playing and Ozzy listening to it. And I think I have seen that clip before. So they said it was like an unreleased one, but I'm pretty sure I've heard that.
She was like, I've saved it until now, and I'm like, if I've seen that.
This was on YouTube like years ago, but okay.
It was. The thing is, when he announced Randy Rhoads and was the whole, this guitar player, you know, his riffs, blah, blah, blah. In my head, I thought Randy Rhoads, and then I was like, but he's dead. It sounded like he was going to bring someone out, like with Ozzy as well, so another special guest. And I was like, but who else haven't we seen? And then the Van Halen fan in me went, well, what if Eddie's not dead? What if it was a stage? What if it was a publicity stunt up at this point and they were in like cahoots with each other? But yeah, I was like, who can they talk about? But obviously it was Randy, so I was like, okay, cool, we're gonna get some. And then I was half expecting some hologram thing and him like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some like hologram of Ozzy just as a nice little. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't like the hologram stuff, but yeah.
He just rises out of the stage on a throne like Emperor fucking Palpatine. It was great. But right before, and this is such a random moment, but this is going to be like a sense memory that just stays with me now, tied to this moment, tied to this gig. It was right before Ozzy came out, and it was dark as well now at this point, which was like, yes. And I was just praying for rain. I really wanted it to rain or be stormy because we've had a lot of hot weather in the UK and we thought there'd be thunderstorms. I thought it was forecast for that night, actually, but it wasn't. But what I did see was cloudy sky, and the clouds were moving pretty quick, and it moved past. And I don't know why, I just looked up to the sky. I think I was like looking around at the audience and I just happened to look up, and the clouds moved and a full moon was there. And I was like, oh, it's like Bark at the Moon and Ozzy's about to come on. I don't know. It was such a great image in my mind of those clouds moving past the moon, revealing that full moon to me before he came out. And then we get O Fortuna playing. Good epic song to come out to. and he was there, and he was on the screen, and he was there. And as I say, like, we had tickets for all those years, and just hearing his voice again, and hearing what a number Parkinson's has done on him. His voice is a lot more shaky. He was a lot more uncertain, but
He had a couple
man,
of
he
seasons,
was
didn't
he was fucking there, and he
Yeah.
turned up for it, and away we go. So we got I Don't Know, Mr. Crowley, Suicide Solution, and Mama I'm Coming Home. Some that I didn't expect him to sing, actually. I thought No More Tears was mentioned, that he might have been
that's
doing
what I
that.
thought. I heard No More Tears is going to be a thing from so many people, so I was very surprised. I was surprised at Mr. Crowley because they did what they did with the Jack Black thing, so I thought, all right, he's not going to play that. So as soon as he said it, because I thought he wasn't going to, I thought, yes, let's go. We get Mr. Crowley. I was so happy he played that proper, like, you know, yelling, top of my voice, everything. That was such a good moment.
What did you think to the crowd's energy? Because I don't know if people were just, because it was a 10, 11-hour thing. People were tired. People had been in the standing crowd all day, probably didn't have much food or water or anything like that. But Ozzy, every single second, was saying, like, let me see your hands and everything. But it was just a sea of phones. People recorded.
You know,
now, I do record stuff. Like, if it's a song that I like, I'll record the first verse and maybe the first chorus. And then as soon as I've done that, I knock the phone off and then I experience the rest of the song. I don't know. I think people were into it. Of course, you watch the live stream back and the shot choices. You got people crying. You got people very emotional. But do you think the energy was there for a final performance?
There wasn't as many people bouncing as I feel like there should have been. Because I was proper like going for it, which I do at majority of gigs, like really, really go for it. When I was younger, like I proper like every gig, I had no voice left. When I was younger, I went for it so much. Like people were literally just like, you go for it more than the artist. I was like, I've always been like that, but I really go for it. And I was proper like, you know, bouncing and like, you know, throwing my fists. And I saw a couple of people do it. I did see a couple of people, but there were a lot of people as well that weren't. And it was surprising because I thought, okay, not everyone's going to do it, fair enough. But there was more people not doing it than I thought should have been. It was really odd.
Yeah.
But I was stood next to like the spawn of Satan. He was this weird, old Gandalf-looking man who literally, this was during Black Sabbath. This wasn't at Ozzy because I had moved sort of over. And kid you not, like I say, everyone's doing that or whatever. He wasn't doing that. This was when Black Sabbath came on, though, so it felt really in keeping with the whole thing. He was literally, they were, you know, playing riffs. Ozzy was singing, and he instead of like throwing his fist, was going, and I was like, "Fuck is going on with this guy?" And then he would lift his beer in the air and do that, and then swing it, and then it would spill on me. And the thing is, in crowds and stuff, I'm very sort of like, it's like if people push past you. I mean, if you're trying to get to your mates, like, cool, do it. Like, I don't care. I'm very sort of like very laid back with it all because it's like, I mean, if they went for a piss and try and get back to their mate, then cool, I'll let them. I've never blocked people from getting through. People drop beer on me again. It's like, look, they're having fun. Like, you know what I mean? They drop a bit of beer. I don't really care. I've always been like that, but he did it a lot, and he was doing that and doing this weird thing with his face, and and I was looking at him and I was like, I don't really know what to make of this guy. It was really odd. In some ways, I kind of felt like going, are you okay? Yeah, like, are we good? And then sometimes, and then every now and then his beer would fall on me, and I was like, I kind of want to tap him, but like, dude, can you just move? It was really weird, but yeah, the crowd was less of that than I expected.
Yeah. Jen raises a good point, though, and I think there probably is some truth to this to sort of see it from a different angle here. Jen says, yeah, the crowd was still at times. Doesn't mean they weren't getting into it. Maybe folks were just soaking in the experience. And I did have that too. I was going through a roller coaster of emotions during this when he was there. Sorry, can you just bump my volume down just a fraction again, please? Like seeing him there and knowing, well, in my heart, knowing that Ozzy probably needed this, like spiritually for himself. Wanting to do that No More Tears 2 tour, which unfortunately didn't happen. And he even said, and my fucking heart broke for him when he said, I've been a bit laid up for like the last few years. I was like, fucking hell, man. It's just horrible to see him like this. But my mind was all over the place because it was in awe of seeing him there again, being really happy for him that this is sort of the full stop at the end of the sentence of his career, and he got to do that one last show. So it's sort of like spiritual closure almost for Ozzy himself. But then there were moments where it did look like he was struggling a little bit, and he had sort of this like panicked look in his face. And I thought, has he been forced into this? Like, is this something that he really wanted? Or has like the money machine and Sharon like forced him into this as a cash cow thing? Because he's off to Comic-Con soon as well, and that doesn't seem to me to be something that Ozzy would want to do himself. Like, let him enjoy his fucking retirement in his late 70s. I don't know. There's a lot to it. And I kept thinking, is this something that he truly wants? Or has he been like doped up with all of these painkillers and like, right, get out there and perform like a dancing monkey? And I don't want to think that that was the case. I want to believe that this was something that he truly wanted. School of Death said, of course he wanted it. What the fuck is this stupid shit? I don't know. It's just something that crossed my mind, but he delivered an incredible performance. I watched it back this morning, the show again on the live stream. Amazing. Just seeing it on that, like there in person, his voice sounded amazing. Watching it on the recording, it was there too. The one that did it for me, I think it did for a lot of people, Mama, I'm Coming Home. It's always been a beautifully written song, wonderful lyrics to it, but with context with him there and it being his final performance, his declining health, that song hit as different as it ever did for me yesterday, hearing that song. And you could see him getting emotional singing it too. So that just, hit you even harder as well.
The thing is, it was like, you could see the look in his eyes was just like, he was so happy that he gets to do this. That, that one last time, he bounced up from his chair. He was like, you could tell he wanted to get up, and it was really sad seeing like he can't. And it was really upsetting. Like, I was there just like, I was like, I feel a little bit emotional, like watching Mr. Crowley. Like, I was proper going for it, and I was
welling up. I was welling up during a lot of it.
It was just so like, and the thing is, he put on a great performance, and like I say, he really was just sort of like, he was so happy to be doing it. And the thing is, he's always been like that. He's always made a point of like, that's his favorite thing to do. He loves touring. He loves his fans. He was like, oh, thank you to everyone. You could tell he meant it. It wasn't just a whole, oh, thank you, and that was it. Like, he's always been like that. So it was really nice to see. And then like the fireworks at the end just were literally like, I was watching them and I was like, from a show that we thought would never happen, and didn't, and to literally just looking around and seeing everyone and the fireworks going off, and then that cake was presented to him. I was like, and this is what we got. I was like, you know what, this is great. We might have only got 5 songs. I mean, everyone only got 5 songs, but it went from obviously a tour and a show of like 15 or whatever he was going to be doing to 5 songs. But I'm like, but this was just great, and he put on a brilliant performance. It was better than majority of people I've ever seen. Like I say, I mean, obviously there were bits where he struggled to maybe get a word out here and there, but given his condition, that's not something you can hold against him. That's not something you can have a fault of. And like I say, 90% of the performance was fucking amazing. There was just that 10% where it was, but like I say, I can't mention that because you can't ever hold that against him. So, and like I say, the fact that was the case was just like, this is phenomenal. This is great. And he's always put on a show, and he did that time as well. And I think the love for him was just great. Everyone loved him. And, I thought to myself, I was like, if let's say his voice gives way halfway through and he just can't anymore, everyone will just sing the song.
Yeah.
It'll be a moment where everyone will just be singing instead, and he'll just be watching out to the crowd, and we just be taking over. So I was like, and I know the crowd would treat it like that. So it was really, really nice to see.
Yeah,
no, I got to see his solo stuff. I'm glad we did, and the thing is as well, because we said, because leading up to it, obviously we didn't know how long people would get. We thought, okay, maybe Metallica will get an hour, Pantera will get their 20 minutes or whatever. We thought maybe this was what we were kind of debating how long who would get where and all that sort of stuff. And Ozzy was like, he's going to do like 5 songs. So we were like, okay. But he sang the most out of everyone there.
He did way more than I thought he would.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, we were talking about like how many songs we thought they were doing, and we heard he's going to do 4 songs. Then we thought, well, is he going to do that? Is it going to be 1 solo song? And maybe they just do Paranoid. When Black Sabbath come out, maybe they just do the 1 song. So I was very, very happy with the amount of songs that we got in total from all of these. From the performances at the end here. Zach Wild as well, during the Ozzy set, you could sense that he was very, very protective of Ozzy. I felt like when there were some moments where I think it might have been in Crazy Train where his voice trailed off a little bit, or maybe he forgot the lyrics or something, and you could always see Zach Wild was right there. He was singing behind him to give him that added support. He was always looking over at him during the playing and watching over him, which I thought was just really nice of Zach throughout all of that. Incredible stuff. And then it was the long wait until Black Sabbath came out.
Do you know what? I didn't get that because it was a longer wait than majority of the bands, and they didn't have to do anything different to the mic settings and stuff. It's the same singer. It was really weird. I don't know if by that point my legs were just to the point where I went, guys, please get on with it. Not in a sense of do less songs, I want to be out of here, but can we just I just would love to take away the intermission. And get to the set. I don't know if it was that, but I was like, I feel like this is a longer wait than all the others.
Let's just get to a couple of comments before we talk about Black Sabbath, which will close us out. Skull for the Deaf says he looked like he wanted this with every bit of his heart, with a true raw look at a guy that gave his whole life to his craft and wanted nothing more than to stay in the lifestyle of his craft. He loved every bit of it, quite apparent. The only reason he struggled is because he was choking back tears. This is absurd. All right, chill out, Skull for the Deaf. That was going great until you started fucking kicking off at the end. Calm down, we're all friends.
That's basically exactly what I said. Of the only bits of that you can't blame him. That's exactly the words I used essentially.
JN says the other guys were solid in support. Loved seeing a paunchy Bill Ward keeping the beat. Geezer moved seamlessly, and Tony was rock solid. Yeah,
you know what? With Black Sabbath, the stand-up performance for me was Geezer. That was that was phenomenal. I was like, do you know what? He's an amazing player.
His bass was great as well. Did you see? It was an Aston Villa one.
Yeah, his bass was cool. He played it amazingly. Tony's obviously always great. Ozzy, we've obviously already spoken about. Just as good when he was doing Sabbath stuff. And Bill was great to see as an addition. I didn't have Topless Bill on my bingo card. I was a bit, I was a bit like, it's a surprise. You know what I mean? But whatever. It was. But yeah, it was good to see all four of them. It was very, 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 very good to see all four of them.
I mean, at the age of 77, Bill Ward, I think you just reach that point of not giving a fuck. I think he's earned that. I think that's fine.
At one point, I swear he looked fucking angry.
He's in the, he's focused. Rest in
bitch
face.
it was like he looked like he was doing something. I was like, he looked like he was getting annoyed with something. I don't know what it was, but it was so good to see all four of them.
I agree with you that I feel like more of a deal should have been made that Bill Ward was there and it was the original. I think they haven't played since, was it the early to mid 2000s? I think
it was 2005. Bill was last there, but was Ozzy there in 2005?
I think so. I think that was the original when the
Did they
full
do
original lineup
proper...
played. Yeah. I'm just so glad that, because I thought they probably wouldn't get him back. When I saw them on the tour, and even the final tour, they didn't have Bill back, did they? For it, it was the previous guy who was a great drummer.
He was brilliant.
Not taking it away from him at all, but this felt right getting the original four back for the one final shindig, and we got War Pigs, NIB, Iron Man, and Paranoid. Would have been nice to have got Black Sabbath in there as well.
Yeah,
if I'm going to split hairs, but I'm just grateful for what we got, and what we got was amazing.
I think, for me, it was tough to pick 4 songs that were going to be, I was like in my head, like, what 4 songs could they play? We all knew Paranoid was going to happen, so I was like, okay, we've kind of got to put that there. And the other 3, I was like, well, what would I have? I was like, I'd like to hear War Pig, someone else might cover it. So I want Black Sabbath, then I'd have 2 more, and I was like, and it was just so hard, because I was like, well, what if we had, it was fucking difficult. So NIB, I'm not disappointed the fact they chose NIB. That very, very happy with that. But if I like you, if I was going to split hairs, I would have swapped that for Black Sabbath, put that first, But I'm really happy with the selection. And Geezer was a standout moment, 100%. He was one of, like, if I had to pick individual people, he was one of them that was like, that was brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because with War Pigs, Judas Priest did that as a cover, didn't they? And although they couldn't be there, I felt like that was their offering of, well, if we were there, this is, the cover that we probably would have thrown into the mix. So I thought, does that mean that they won't do War Pigs? So that was the one that was a little bit hazy for me, but I'm glad we got it. I'm glad we got it on the bill, and I'm happy with all of them that we got. And I think in various like video tributes and whatnot, and even sort of the beginning when they came out, like the thunderstorm and the rain sound effect kicked in, which is why I thought they were going to open with Black Sabbath when they first started to walk out. At least it got nodded to. We heard it throughout the day on various videos and whatnot. So yeah,
that stands to be as one of my favorite, like, just I mean, I don't knock any of the song, but that first half before it goes into before it gets into that stands out as one of my favorite parts of any song. Just like,
it's just so atmospheric, isn't it?
Yeah, that in its own, if that was its own song and we split that, do you know what I mean? That's just, yeah, it's so it's a shame we didn't get to it. But the thing is, I obviously, when I saw them years ago and they played it, like, if I hadn't gone to that, I'd been more disappointed. But got to hear it then, I was, so yeah, I'm happy with the selection we got.
Mm-hmm. And then we got the firework display to close it all out, as you mentioned, which was a really nice touch. I've never been to a stadium gig before where they've done that. I don't suppose there's ever been cause for it.
Fireworks. So they did confetti for Ozzy, then they did fireworks, and
we had the water cannon as well, didn't he? He had the soaker, the foam cannon or whatever it was.
You wouldn't have noticed where you were, but the confetti were all little things that said Ozzy on them.
Oh, cool!
So because when they were floating above me, and there were people catching them, and I saw people holding them, and they had Ozzy written on them. So I was like, that's quite cool.
And then the fireworks went up, and that was it. That was the show.
It was nice. It was really nice to see, because like I was looking at the fireworks, just staring at them until they stopped. Like I was just, the whole time I wasn't going to leave while they were going. So I was just staring at them, and I was like, we went from getting having something that's like, we don't think this is ever going to happen, so this is what we got. And I'm like, this is a nice thing. And then they gave him a cake, which he looked really confused. He was like, what the fuck is this? He looked I saw the reaction on his face, and I was like, he looks really sort of like, what the fuck are you giving me? But it's really nice because like Tony went up to him, was like kind of like held his hands, and I assume he said to him just like, mate, that was brilliant, like, well done. You know what I mean? And sort of like, I'm so glad we've done this together. And it was really nice to see. And there's the clip I saw online as well, again, when they sort of like, I feel like this was a different moment a little bit, but because like Tony like walked behind him and Ozzy was like calling out to him, was just like, oh dude, come here. And it was just so nice to see that chemistry between them. So yeah, it was so, yeah, it was great. It was a brilliant end. And ending on that song, with the fireworks, everything, it was an experience. I was like, you know what, that was worth every penny. I'm so glad I was there. And I said it to someone when we were walking up the steps to get out. Everyone was just going, oh, that was amazing. And I think everyone was saying the same thing. We were like, fucking back is killing me now, though. We've been stood up for how long, and my back is killing me, but wouldn't change it for the world. It was an amazing thing to be here. It was a long day. It was a painful day, but it was worth every bit of it. It was, and yeah, I was like, yeah, exactly.
I still have a feeling that Ozzy will make music. I think he's alluded to it already. He wants to do some collaborations. I think he's mentioned he'd love to do something with Paul McCartney. I've heard rumors of a new album or a new single or something. This
is the thing. The whole thing, he was like, I really want to do that with Paul McCartney. Now, I didn't think this was going to happen. But somewhere in my head, I went, how amazing would it be if Paul McCartney came out? Like, you know what I mean? How big of a thing? Like, I don't... I wonder whether that would sort of be overshadowing in a little way. Like, I don't know. But how amazing would that have been? And how amazing, because Elton John wasn't there, and obviously he did a video, how cool would that have been? I feel like on some level, someone tried to get this to happen because Ozzy would have been, like, so ecstatic on it. But how amazing would that have been if he played Ordinary Man and Paul McCartney did the Elton John bit? Like, how cool would that have been? Like... I feel like on some level, Ozzy would have been like, do you reckon we can get this done? And it just couldn't. But that would have been so cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It was just a terrific end to the day. I mean, all the other bands were, great as well, with the exception of Guns N' Roses. We don't talk about that, but it just made it all so worth it. And it was just a wonderful finale. And when he was there, and sat on that throne midway through his set. I'm like, look at this man's legacy. Like, this is fucking phenomenal. Like, if there was any question before this point of Ozzy cementing himself in just, you know, as a true rock god, like, this is what he is doing here right now against everything, against Parkinson's, against there was like a spinal problem he had, wasn't it, during a fall or whatever. He's battling all this shit, and he's here, and he's still, you know, like, giving the middle finger to, you know, Parkinson's and all the problems that he's got, and he's here, and he's doing an incredible job. It was just wonderful, like, absolute rock god. It was a pleasure to be there, and surrounded by so many fans as well from all over the world who were there for it.
I think, yeah, I posted, because like I said, I don't usually take photo, but I took a photo of Ozzy, posted that to Facebook. I think one of the things I said, I was like, if this man can do a performance like that with Parkinson's, what's your excuse? And it's like, it's fucking true.
Yeah. And you mentioned there when it finished, you were like, oh, my back, all my knees. And it's like, well, I can't complain, can I? Because Ozzy's up there doing that.
Just like, I was like, I'm in pain. And I was like, you know what, though? I was like, I don't feel right complaining about this. I just don't.
So yeah, just rounding off some of the comments now, and then we'll close out for tonight. I'm really glad we did this now, actually, because we were debating whether to do it or not. I think we were still right. Yes. Oh God. Yeah. No. Absolutely. You certainly wouldn't have got 3 hours out. You'd be lucky if you got 3 minutes out of us yesterday. We were dead to the world, but I think I'm glad that we did this, because I know that we're still like riding the high off it, almost like it was still in the day of the concert itself.
I really would love to. If I could go back in time, I would love to see the Ozzy performance again, the solo stuff, because that was just great. I mean, like I say, the Sabbath stuff was great, but the fact that, because the thing that's always special about it is it's not just the whole, like, because if you flew from the States, I guess it's a little bit different in the sense of, I mean, fair play, you'd spend a lot of money, but a bit different in the sense of what we had was tickets to that last show, and it didn't happen. So it was another just special thing of just like, this just, it did happen, where we were just like, it's done. You know what I mean? It did happen. And so if anything, like, I'd just love to just go back and revisit that again. Yeah. And again, it was good. And he put on a brilliant performance. He loved every second of it. And yeah, it was just nice to see someone like that. Because the thing is as well, like I say, big contrast between him and Axl Rose. Axl Rose being the whole, like, oh, I'm better than everyone kind of thing. He has that attitude. Ozzy's just thankful for his fans. Yeah. He's like, his attitude is, without you guys, I wouldn't be where I am. And, you know, it's that sort of, he feels lucky to have done this kind of thing. And you could tell he was like that emotional sort of like, this will never happen again. And the thing is, he used to live, 5 minutes down the road. And it's like living there, seeing that, being 5 years old. Do you think he ever thought, I'm going to be playing that one day and everyone's going to fucking love me? Like that, it's just something you don't ever imagine, isn't it?
Yeah. I was very surprised that they never played that venue before. Actually, I think it was a first for them as well, wasn't it? So yeah, just to round out, Carl says, so glad you guys did this tonight and to hear your thoughts. Thanks, guys. You're welcome, man. If anything, like, Carl, you were the one who put this idea in my head. I know that you wanted to talk about it, Dale. You were talking about doing a live stream, but seeing your comment earlier, Carl, saying, will you be doing a live stream? That was the thing that really kicks it into gear. So your comments do have impact on the stuff that we do. So thank you. We appreciate you all. And JN, thank you for sticking with us so long through the stream, man, and keeping the conversation going. It's been really, really fun tonight. Thank you so much for a great conversation. Thank you for acknowledging our input. Outstanding job, guys. You're very welcome.
JN9, I feel like that's a postcode.
It probably is.
Like JN9 4XQ.
But the main question, and I want to know this as well, did you get some confetti?
No, I didn't. No, it was, as I say, it was floating above me. I didn't catch any in the end, which is a shame, because I was kind of trying, and then a load of hands doing that. And I think after like 5 seconds of going like that, I just thought, I'm just kind of like that now.
Hey, international in this bitch, Arizona. So fuck yeah.
But the thing is, postcodes over here, because it's like NN6, or like, you know, B, like, because Birmingham, like B13. You know, so like JN9 is like, you know what I mean? It could be a postcode. It could be a thing somewhere. I don't know.
And what better comment to round off everything? I love metal. It never stops giving. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, man.
But that's the thing. The whole thing was like an escape of just whatever shit is going on in the world. And I think someone even said that. But whatever shit's going on in the world, like your personal life, anything, like work, you know, anything could have happened. Like, you know what I mean? Your dog could have died like a month ago or something or whatever, but just everything's left at the door. You're in there, just everything. You know what I mean? So for that 11 hours, just the world was great.
That's all that matters. Absolutely.
That's why they should have played Nothing Else Matters.
Yes, yeah. We're gonna have to talk music again on this channel at some point. This has been an absolute blast to do tonight. As I say, this is very against the grain for us, what we normally do on this channel. Usually it's film reviews, TV show reviews, film retrospectives and things like that. So we will be snapping back to that. But this
do you think there's a market for brothel reviews? Like, I reckon there is.
Oh, we'd just be catching like the bingo card right there of STDs, wouldn't we? It'd be great.
Yeah.
JN says, please, more music chat. We'll try and figure something out. We have a lot of videos on the go at the moment that we're trying to get through, and you know, free time being what it is, the joys of adult life and whatnot. But Carl says should do more gig reviews. Yeah, we should. I feel like none of them will be as good as this video was tonight, though, because
they're all going to really pale in comparison, aren't they?
Like, I've got loads of gigs lined up for the rest of the year and concerts and stuff and into next year, but now it's just going to be like, well, I went to see Lita Ford and Vixen, two bands that I really want to see, but is there going to be enough for probably not a 3-hour video, maybe 5 minutes. Like, oh yeah, I went to see Lita Ford, she was really good. And Vixen was really good as well. All right, good night. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll have a think about it. We talked about like album retrospectives, like band retrospectives, but I know there's the channels like Rageaholic, who's fucking great, who does the Metal Mythos videos. So well researched, well edited documentary. They're basically like an hour and a half documentaries on bands. Well, so it's like I could not compete with that, but it would be cool.
A Lord of the Rings one as an overall when I'm done with it.
Yeah, okay, quick aside before we finish. We were recording a first-time watch-along of Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, weren't we, Dale? And we had this piece of shit headphone splitter, which I bought for a £5. I mean, I probably should have known, only paying £5 for it, that it wasn't going to work. And the audio cut out sort of like a quarter of the way through the movie. And I just couldn't get it working again. But also, I was conscious of the fact that, dude, you were just absorbed by that movie.
I was so focused. The thing is, it takes a lot to hold my attention. Like, and this is why there's a lot of TV shows are the main thing. Like that I've never watched. And you know, when people are on the hype train for stuff, I'm very behind after, because if it doesn't, you know, grip me within 10 minutes, I'm kind of done. Like mentally, I check out. And when people say like, oh, it's a slow burn, you got to stick with it. It's like, do I want to stick with it though? It's like, it's just, you know. But anyway, but yeah, it was just like the whole time I was just. Nothing else was around me. I was just staring at it. It was so yeah, Fellowship really, really gripped me, and it didn't feel like because I think I mentioned to you, didn't I? The pacing was so amazing. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like was it 3.5 hours? You know, 3.5 hour movie or whatever it was. Like yeah, it didn't feel like that. It felt like a lot was going on. Like it did feel like if someone said it was free, I'll be like, yeah, I can see that a lot happened, but it didn't feel like. You know, it felt really good. And the thing is, and I mean, I'm going into a thing now, so I won't too much, but everything just felt like I was there. Like everything was done, and we said about that. But we should do a review on the whole thing.
Absolutely. I was thinking of that. And I'm glad you had that with the film as well, because like when the audio cut out and the fact that we maybe said like 5 words and we were like 40 minutes into the movie, I was like, this will be the most boring as fuck first time watch along. We're not doing like the crazy over the top reactions like, oh my God, this happened. We're just kicking back and watching one of the best films ever made for the first time. So we will do a review. We will talk about it. We won't do the first time watch along, but at least I'm getting to experience your first time watch. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Carl, thank you so much, man. Don't forget to like everyone. Yeah, I'm gonna be that guy. Smash that like button and you know, share it around, and we will do more music stuff. We will after tonight. This has cinched it for me. This has been really, really fun. Thank you everyone who's tuned in. Probably one of the most watched live streams we've done on this channel so far. So thank you guys. It's all down to you.
You should never call your daughter like button, because when everyone says, remember to hit that like button. Just saying.
Smash the like button. Yeah. We're going to round off tonight, guys, coming up to 3 hours. Wherever you are in the world, have a great morning, great evening.
Which is
night,
almost as long as Fellowship.
Yes, we almost broke even. Yeah, stay excellent to each other. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it is. Take care, everyone.